Welcome back, friends, near, far, wherever you are across the internet. It is episode 261 of the Fake Nerd Podcast. And like the celestial slowly growing inside, spoilers, I feel the burning desire inside of me to escape and discuss the Eternals. And I'm eternally grateful to be joined by my co-hosts, Brandon T. McClure.
Hello.
And Ben Magnet.
Took me a moment just to figure out that you were quoting "My Heart Will Go On."
And Ryan! Exclamation point.
Hey, I forgot I didn't put my last name. You're never gonna find out what it is now.
Ryan
Not 200. There's not 260 episodes with it.
Mr. DJ Tony Snark himself.
Hey, what's up? Makari. That's a name.
That is a name.
I did it.
Quick note on Ryan's name. I always love how because I have a like an audio thing on my car where I can like tap a button and say, please say a command, and I say call like Brandon or something. But for Ryan, I say call Ryan, and it says Ryan's entire name, and it goes Ryan, and just the way they pronounce his name is the funniest thing in the world. Like, for Ryan's name, it's Ryan Iliopoulos.
I will never forget when we went to Screen Junkies for TV Talk that you were TV fights that you were on, and I will never forget Ryan Iliopoulos.
Hey man, it's a hard one if you don't look at it to spell it. I get it. You're just guessing.
Hi guys, we have links.
Oh, it's
What?
time. It's Linky time.
Just two links though. As Sparks mentioned last week, a lot of our YouTube content will be slow goings for the time being. That's just how things are. But there is something on a YouTube page that dropped this week, actually after the episode last week, is Dead by Daylight.
Blah.
The final Spooktober for Basement Arcade is Dead by Daylight. We played around as we did the last time we did this, or last year. I think we did last year.
Yeah, we did. Dead by Daylight's super fun. Hey guys, we might not have like as much content coming out, but guess what? There's 12 episodes of spooky stuff you can watch. So watch all that shit.
Yeah,
Praise
definitely
the
go
star.
back. Definitely go back through the Basement Arcade Spooktober stuff. A lot of fun stuff there. It was a blast.
It was a
Praise the sun. I don't have to be in the spooky basement anymore. I'm
blast.
out.
For free,
I'm free.
for 51 weeks.
A brief reprieve.
A brief. It's like the second Halloween ended. It's like the countdown begins until next Spooktober, and then it's like, okay, Ben, back in the basement.
And then Halloween kills, and then it ends.
Yeah.
And Ryan, you have a downright annoyed.
I do. I did it today. I watched The Transporter, 2002's Transporter, starring Jason Statham.
Oh.
Hey, that movie's pretty all right. I think I definitely liked it the most out of everyone on that panel. But like, it's a decent early action movie. It's like a French action movie starring Jason Statham. There's a reason that guy like became super famous. Like he's got it. When he's got it, he's got it.
I really like Transporter 2, but I like all three of them. They're kind of a guilty pleasure for me. They're a lot of fun.
I haven't watched any of them since they came out a long time ago, and I like the first one enough where I'm like, I'll watch the next two. They're like an hour and a half, like easy going. Yeah.
There was a TV show that came out a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Refueled. Oh no, that's the new movie starring.
That's the new movie. That one wasn't very good.
I heard that one was bad. That's unfortunate.
But yeah, that's all the links in the description below. We got a ton of stuff anyway on this channel. We're kind of buying time on Fake Nerds Watch until Hawkeye and Star Trek Discovery drop. But you can still check out all the other shows that we just finished. You know, if you're still going through, definitely did a show. This What If, that's the one. If you're still going through What If, we check out our after show.
We have things. Go to YouTube channel and watch our things.
And that's everything. So why don't we get into what we did this week? Who wants to go first?
Not me. Aha, Sparks.
I'll go. I did more this week than last week, I guess. I had the pleasure of having my father be awake sometimes, so we watched some stuff.
Oh, good.
He saw Halloween Kills. He was like, "Well, that was all right," and I'll admit, I'm a little bit colder on it. Not a lot, a little. After watching it fully a second time, I was like, "This, all right."
It's the middle chapter.
I still like it. I still like a lot of things in it. I'm definitely like,
Yeah, but what if we were the monsters?
yeah, there's
Yeah.
stuff. Check out our Halloween Kills review. I also watched Overlord again, which I hadn't watched since theaters.
Hell yeah.
That
movie's
movie rips.
It does.
I talked to my dad because like we were scrolling through all these movies. He's like, I've seen this. What's that? I was like, well, that's. I explained the concept to him. He's like, okay. so we watched Overlord, and like that movie rocks. Like I look back on it, and I'm like, this had like major theatrical release. This is a weird movie. To like come out in the pocket that it did.
Mhm.
I love Overlord. I love it for being like this weird little ambitious thing that it is. And somebody like had the perfect letterbox review of it where they said the best video game movies aren't based on video games.
It's
Because that
true.
is a video game movie that's not based on anything in particular.
I agree. Independence Day Resurgence.
Should be a video game movie.
Sure, man.
Well, it should be a video game.
There's a boss fight at the end.
Hey, they created those games. They're called Wolfenstein.
Yeah.
That's what Overlord is. Overlord is Wolfenstein.
I also watched Dan Brown's The Lost Symbol. I didn't watch all of it. This is a TV show on Peacock.
Oh, this is
okay.
the TV show one.
I was
not
gonna
the...
say,
I watched-
they made a movie.
I watched the first 4 episodes. It's a well-made show. I like it. Eddie Izzard has a really cool performance that she's giving. It's weird because the pronouns for the character she's playing is he. The only part is that I'm having a hard time squaring the dude I'm watching play Robert Langdon against Tom Hanks. Which isn't to say like, oh, I can only picture Tom Hanks as Robert Langdon. It's just like I haven't read those books, and so like this dude is this dude is just like on a whole other kind of performance, and it's working okay in the show. It's just weird.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know how to articulate it. It's just not quite singing the way that I think every other piece of it is. I also feel like it's got a lot of filler stuff. Like I certainly haven't read that book, but I'm like, I can't imagine that every beat of what I'm seeing here is in that book. There's some stuff here.
I just found out they made 3 of those movies. I thought they made 2.
Wild Dog? Is it Wild Dog or Mad Dog in Arrow?
Wild Dog.
Wild Dog. That actor plays a cop in this show, like who's actually important, an important character. He's pretty cool. He's honestly giving my favorite performance in the show, which is pretty neat.
Nice.
Good for that actor. Get that green.
When I was a teenager, I loved the Dan Brown all those books because they were super. They were like 5th grade reading level conspiracy theory stuff that was really fun. Right. And I remember when that movie came out, I was obsessed with that movie. And I don't think it's very good. I loved it when I came out, but I was also like 13, so
I think that the movies benefit greatly from like Tom Hanks being a great actor. And then like especially Da Vinci Code having Ian McKellen to play off of.
Yeah, and The Vision, what's his name?
Yes.
Paul Bettany. He's the bad guy. Yeah.
Alfred Molina is in that too. Working with Paul Bettany. That movie has a pretty stellar cast, so it kind of elevates it. And like the person who made that movie, I don't know the director off the top of my head, but like they knew how to make a good movie. Yeah. Like that movie had like it works. In a way that maybe that story doesn't.
I only saw the Da Vinci Code. I never saw Angels and Demons, which is why when the third one was made, Tom Hanks again, it's like totally went over my head. I didn't even know it came
Angels and
out.
Demons had Ewan McGregor in it as an evil priest.
Oh,
that
cool.
movie isn't as good, but it is a plot about the church wanting to destroy the world, and that's pretty cool.
I agree with Ryan. I actually liked a lot of things about Angels and Demons. Yeah, my dad's a big Dan Brown friend, so when right after we watched Halloween Kills, we were on Peacock so we could watch it, and then he's like, "Oh, Dan Brown." So that's how that happened, and thus I'm now 4 episodes deep in that show. But that's not the only show I watched. I've also been catching up on Supergirl. I'm just a little behind. The series is about to end this coming week, so I'm almost there for that. I like the second half of the season a lot. I think they're doing a lot of good stuff for their wrap up, so kudos to them. Good job. However, the other show I've been watching is just like knocking my socks off all the time, guys, which is Legends of Tomorrow. I had not watched the last season, and the new season's already started, so I was like, God, I got to get on it. So I've watched 12 episodes of a 15-episode season of Legends of Tomorrow from last year.
There you go.
Guys, that show rips. That show's so good.
Rip Hunter isn't on there anymore, I thought.
No, he's not. He's not. And like the show's all the better for it. That show is doing some great stuff. I see where we're heading, and I got curious, so I read Matt Ryan talking about it. It's actually really cool. So John Constantine is leaving the show, the character, because Matt Ryan said we've pretty much, I think, pushed the boundary as far as we can of this character staying true to who he is in the comics and being on this ship. And now he's got to go back to his loner lifestyle. Like we can't keep doing this. We're pushing him outside of him being himself if we push this much further.
I can respect that. Like
he's a huge fan of the comics. He said that he's read all of them. And I really believe that he's read all the Hellblazer comics. And he cares a lot, very deeply about the character and wants him to be faithful. And he's worked very hard to keep him. What would John be like in the situation of all these things he's encountered with the Legends? And so what they did is they very smartly, I think, this season crafted for John to actually start to fall in love with one of the Legends. And there's this avenue where like you could be happy, and he's clearly going to screw it up. And that's going to cause him to ultimately fall back into his own self-hatred and like, I'm a piece of shit wanker, and go back to his own lifestyle. And I think it's actually very well crafted and smart, and I think it's good, like John almost giving himself kind of the happy ending, because like he got Astra from the Constantine show out of hell. She's now his protege. He's teaching her magic. She's on the ship. She's saving the world with the Legends, and he's falling in love. Like everything's coming up great for John. So it makes sense that they have to completely have him muck it up and then go back to that is Constantine. And so I really applaud them for being bold enough to do that, and that they like Matt Ryan enough that they're like, we're going to create a new character that you can be, somebody totally different. I haven't met that character because they're in the next season, this current one, but I'm really proud of what they've been doing with the show. I think it's really good. And Rory is pregnant with
twins
and a tentacle aliens babies that are inside of his head. That show is cool. It makes him grow hair. This show is great, guys. It's American Doctor Who, and I love it.
I remember really enjoying that show, especially when the Hawks left. But like when I was watching, I was on Twitter, and the clip from like season whatever it was, I think it's when they meet the JSA, and they're doing the moon landing. They're doing something, and Victor Garber has to distract them by singing Deo.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching that clip. I was like, man, this show was a lot of fun. I really got to get back into it.
That show knows what it is through and through, and it owns its pocket of the DC universe in such a solid way. I was talking to a friend of the podcast, Marty, about it recently, and I'm like, I'm just genuinely shocked at this point that Booster Gold isn't on the show. Yeah. It's rife with potential for him to land on that show. I'm stunned, but yeah, props to that show. It's great.
Hell yeah!
All right, I wanted to shout that out because I think Legends of Tomorrow is really good. Okay, I watched Scream again, the original. It's a good movie. It's a great movie. I was showing it to somebody who hadn't seen it, so I watched it, and that movie's awesome. I also watched Friday the 13th Part 5. That is terrible. Just absolute garbage top to bottom. And I don't mean like, oh, the Friday the 13th films are pretty trashy. I mean like that one in particular is so bad. I had to look into it. Like there's an actor who came in, and when he auditioned for the main role he was playing, he thought it was like this deep introspection film about someone who was traumatized and was living in an institution. And it turned out that he was just in a Friday the 13th movie where he was playing the grown-up version of the kid who got traumatized because he killed Jason in the movie before. And I'm like, man, that sucks. And like what ends up happening with that character and like all that shit. Terrible film. Awful.
A New Beginning.
Yes, A New Beginning. It's the one after they did the final chapter where Jason was killed.
Never do that.
Megan called the whole plot twist that it sets up in the first 5 minutes, and I was like, oh my god, she's 100% correct. As I was watching the movie, I was like, she's so right.
Is this the one with the psychic powers?
No, this is the one where, so mild spoilers for Friday the 13th Part 5. Jason's dead as of the previous one, so they set up this thing where like God, there's this guy who's running a mental institution camp in the woods where like people who are labeled as loony are running around doing whatever they want on the camp. Literally a guy chopping wood with an axe who's supposed to be unhinged. And I'm like, what are we doing? He ends up murdering one of the other people there. Turns out that dude who was an orphan, he was the abandoned son of a paramedic who lives in town. That paramedic sees him get murdered and then decides he's going to murder everybody forever. But he tries to make it look like Jason's doing it. That's the plot of the movie. Is you don't know that the paramedic's doing it. He's making you think it's Jason, but they never show the killer. So that's when I was like, oh my God, Megan's right. It's the paramedic. Because there's this one shot where he's like looking at his body and he's like, oh. And so you're like, oh, he's like his dad and he's gonna murder all these people for no reason. And he murders all these people for no reason. And then at the end, he actually has like not just the hockey mask, but like latex to make it look like the back of Jason's messed up head. So until the very last second, you're supposed to think it's Jason. And I'm like, if he went through all that work, why didn't we just see Jason up to this point in the movie?
It's like Malignant.
Because all the kills are so bland because they refuse to show you anything but like the arm of the killer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, and so like it's just a bad film. Like, no, clearly nobody gave a shit. It's a wafer thin story. It's super offensive about like mental health. It's super offensive to like fat people. Like all the Friday the 13th films are fat phobic, but this one is really fat phobic. It's just bad. It's just bad everywhere. Anyway,
which is the one where he slams people's? He kills two people with sleeping bags.
That's the one you like.
Jason X. That's Jason X.
That's the one you like.
But I thought that was referencing a previous film.
No.
Oh.
The joke is like that's how silly it is. Yeah,
that's how silly it is. And okay, so then we watched part 6, which is Jason Lives, where they completely bullshit retcon out 5, and that movie is where like very clearly they decided these movies are going to be fun. Priority number 1 is no longer scare or tense, it's fun. And 6 clearly, like everybody was on board with that. Like from minute 1, everyone knew Friday the 13th 6 is about being stupid fun. And that works. It works much better when it's that honest with itself. So
right,
that was a way better viewing experience than 5.
Real quickly, Mag is in the chat.
Mag.
Good evening, Mag. How's your daylight day going?
Good.
It's fine.
So spookier than the normal.
It was just nice waking up thinking it feels later than checking my clock. I was like, no, it's not later. It's earlier.
Mm-hmm. And then he also says, and Marty's dad, Glover, in the film with the weird dance. Is that about Friday the 13th 5?
I think so. But honestly, like it's
sure.
So far out of my brain. But yeah, the last things I want to talk about. What did I have? Oh, yeah, that's it. I started my Cowboy Bebop rewatch in anticipation of the live action show.
I'm also going to do that soon.
The anime still is great, guys. Like, I don't know what to tell you. It's an incredible anime. If you're not watching, you should be watching. Trying to get Megan to go through it with me. That's it. That's all for me.
I'll go next. So 3, 2, 1. Let's jam. I'm also watching Cowboy Bebop. I started earlier today. I watched the first episodes with Fanny right before I watched trailers and everything.
Ben, remind me, you've never seen it?
The only Cowboy Bebop thing I have ever seen was the movie. I've never seen the show.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I'm 2 episodes in and I really like it. I don't know why I never kept going on with it, so I'm gonna keep watching it. And I can't wait. Stuff I did this week: I beat Metroid Dread,
woo,
and I started Castlevania Symphony of the Night,
woo woo,
because I got down with the Metroid. Now I'm going down with the Vania, and I learned something. So as much as I have taken instruction manuals and tutorials for granted. Holy crap! So I'm playing Castlevania Symphony of the Night. And I'm getting the basic controls down, and then I'm trying to figure out, like, where the hell the save points are. Like, I get to this giant room, and it looks like a giant 20-sided die, and it's just, like, floating there. I'm like, I'm pushing X. I'm pushing all the buttons. I'm like, nothing is happening. And then because I've never played a Castlevania game before. This is my first time playing Castlevania. And then I get into another room, and somehow, I don't know what happened. My thumb just pushes the up button, and then it's like, do you want to save your game? I'm like, that's how you do it? What the? And then I get some other weapons, and I'm like, how do I use this weapon? Because all I have is a sword and I have a shield, and I can't use this like cool thing. And what do these hearts do? These hearts don't help my health. What's going on? You have to push up and square to throw your special weapons. And I'm like,
you could have just checked the control scheme, Ben.
No, I did. I
did?
went to the options and it said controls, and all it said was like just the single buttons, no combinations whatsoever.
Okay.
So I'm
Yeah,
like,
there's that show.
yeah.
Eventually.
And there's like a little preamble text for Castlevania, and it actually mentions Trevor Belmont in that text too.
Mm-hmm.
So note to self, when I'm playing retro games I've never played before, and it's through like an emulator, kind of like what I'm doing with Symphony of the Night, because it's like Castlevania Requiem, look up the damn instruction manual so you know what you're doing.
Sure.
Because at least with my minis, they have little QR codes they can scan, and there's all PDF scans of all the original instruction manuals. So yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying the game. The good news is I'm enjoying the game. I really like it. I just haven't got back to it because I started playing it for a little bit after I beat Dread, and then I really got into it, beat the first boss, and then I needed something nice and fluffy. So I went back to Mario 3D Land, and I'm on the last level on that. So I'm about to beat that one.
Mario.
Yeah, because I need some bright colors and something.
It's been redubbed by Chris Pratt yet?
It's me, Mario.
No.
Not yet.
Anyways, besides that, I finally did something today. I bought my comic books.
Woo!
I had like a month and a half worth of books in the store, and I finally went and got them.
Good. And you'll read them never.
You tweeted out like, it's such a good feeling seeing my comic book stack go up. I was like, not really.
No, the feeling was like, yes, I finally got my comic books. I actually have like I have it on my Instagram story. I have like a to be read pile, and it's like, damn, this is a big ass freaking pile.
Not really.
No, compared to yours, it's not. Mine, to me, it is, but compared to your guys, it's like, damn.
In order, it would be. Wait, Sparks, how many months has it been since you've read a comic book?
You mean like one of the ones from the store, like consistently?
Yeah.
It's I've been slowly making my way through the X-Men and then Venom, but like it's been a bit.
Oh, Ryan would be top, and then and Ben would be bottom, but I don't know where Sparks and I fall. I'm not sure.
I'm sure I buy more than you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably me.
I am willing to fully admit that I have the smallest comic book collection out of the four
of
us.
It's not like a competition. I know, right?
No shit.
It's okay.
I'm not trying to be like, oh, look at me.
All right, pay up.
Shut up. I just know that still looking at that stack, it's like, man, that's a big freaking stack. And
a lot of art you get to consume.
At least it's not as big as Ryan's.
Hey, every day I look at it, I'm like, hey, baby, that's just a bunch of free art ready for me to consume, just right there.
Free art.
Because I already bought it, so it's just waiting
like
for
your own personal loop.
It's just like HBO Max, or like it's bought, so it's free.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's pretty much what I did media wise this week. Beat Metroid and went back and started Castlevania, and I'm almost about to beat Super Mario. Woohoo!
Ryan, you want to go next?
No.
All right. Then I will go next. I really enjoy that Netflix is trying to bring back rom-coms. They're doing their best, and I applaud them for it.
Did they disappear?
They honestly, yeah. The rom-com genre has been.
What's Crazy Rich Asians? Is that a rom-com?
That was the rom-com. That's when it's like. That's when it was like we're starting to see the trend of coming back. But Netflix has been kind of like been at the head of that revival of bringing back the rom-coms. I won't say Hitch was the last rom-com that came out, but
that was like 15 years ago.
No, I'm serious. Hitch was in the dying grasp of the genre.
Sure.
There was a really good rom-com on Netflix. It stars Randall Park and Constance Wu.
Great movie.
I forgot the name of it.
I know the movie, but
I'll always be your maybe.
I'll always be.
Thank you. Always be my maybe. That was a good one. I really like that.
Thanks, Sparks and Fanny.
Thanks, Sparks. Thank you, Sparks. Thank you, Fanny.
Anyway, there's a new one out. It's a Christmas rom-com, wanted some fluff, called Love Hard. It's I don't know the two leads names, but the guy's a comedian, really funny. It's really charming. It's really sweet. If you like rom-coms, it's more of the same. It's very much in that vein of like a modern rom-com where if it's a girl who's the lead, then they're trying to fix the, they're trying to find something within themselves to grow and be a better person. And so you kind of have like, it's no longer love interest and main character. It's now kind of a dual role. It's kind of like a dual lead type movie. And I really like that. It's really charming. It's really sweet. It's called Love Hard though, because the guy's favorite Christmas movie is Love Actually. And the girl's favorite Christmas movie is Die Hard. And that's how they bond initially with their favorite Christmas movies.
That's actually really cute. I like that.
So it's called Love Hard. Anyway, cute movie. If you want to watch a rom-com, you could do worse. Definitely watch Always Be My Maybe.
I was trying to think of like the last rom-coms that came out in theaters, and I was like, there was that one with Henry Golding and Emilia Clarke just a bit ago.
Yeah.
The last Christmas, I like that one too.
And the last one I saw in theaters was definitely Isn't It Romantic with Rebel Wilson.
Long Shot's pretty good.
Long Shot is pretty good. That actually probably is the last one.
I'm saying like the new generation of rom-coms are pretty good.
Long Shot's
last 5 years, yeah.
Charlize Theron, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, I remember wanting to see that movie too.
It's good.
I'm not saying the rom-com genre came back today.
It's so saying like you made that statement. And I'm like, I'd never. It's like westerns. Like they can still make westerns.
No, but that's true. Which is why I'm not willing to say that like it died after the early 2000s, but it was very much like not in the public eye anymore. There wasn't a lot of them, and then about 5-6 years ago they started to come back, and they started to come back really well.
Yeah. Speaking of rom-coms, Max says Lovebirds. I don't know what he's.
Which one's Lovebirds?
That's the Kumail Nanjiani one.
Yep.
That
I didn't see that one.
See that one.
That was the Netflix. That was the Netflix one, right?
I want to see that one.
I haven't seen that one yet. Anyway, it's not important. I watched Injustice, the new animated film. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's fun. If you like the Injustice story, I really like the inclusions they make with Tom Taylor's story material. They just use year one, and then they go to the game, but they simplify a lot of it to make it an hour and 20. I think most of the revisions to make it at length work really well. And there's things that they change where like Hal Jordan in the beginning is like, no, where the Green Lanterns are being pulled off Earth, so Hal Jordan's already taken out of the story. So you're not left with the implication that you're meant to see the big Green Lantern War that happens in year 3.
Mm-hmm.
They also get rid of Flash in the very beginning. It's not a spoiler.
I gotta say, I haven't watched it, but I've watched a couple of clips online, and the choices they make for some of these deaths. Or some of the character stuff, I'm like,
I want to get to that because that's really important. I've seen the discourse online, and I don't really like to talk about like other people's opinions as my own, but there are some things I agree with, and one of them is the Flash's death. Flash's death is completely unnecessary. Mm-hmm. I don't mind the idea of kind of making Scarecrow this Omega level threat, this Justice League level threat because of his fear gas, and that's why Barry dies. He doesn't do that. It doesn't happen in the comics or the games. I haven't played Injustice 2 game, so I don't know if he dies in that. But he's definitely in that comic. But he gets taken out pretty early, and I kind of was left wondering, like, why did you make this choice? It doesn't service this story, and it doesn't come from anything. It's just randomly they were like, we can't use Flash.
It makes me wonder if just like did like the director or the writer was like, I don't like the Flash as much as the other characters, so I'm just gonna write him off.
It could be.
Yeah.
It's unnecessary though, I think anyway. There's another change that I don't like, which is Dick Grayson's death. I love Dick Grayson's death in the comic. I think it's really tragic, and the fact that it's an accident really works. You know, mm-hmm. For those who remember, to remind everyone, he gets hit in the head, but he loses footing and then hits his neck on a rock, which breaks his neck. Mm-hmm. And that creates a incidental act by Damian. He didn't mean to do it.
No, he didn't mean to kill him but he did throw the thing that hit him on the head, and then he tried to.
Right. But in the movie, they take out the rock, and Damian just hits him in the temple with a stick and kills him. Oh. Meaning Damian meant to throw a killing blow, meaning it was an intentional kill.
Oh, I don't like that.
Yeah. Certain choices. I'm sure it's still good.
Yeah,
they keep Deadwing though when he becomes Deadman. So I'm like, okay, well at least he's kept the cool part, the part that came after that was cool.
Yeah.
But the choice to remove that rock, just a little thing, just completely changes the context of that death, and it just doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. That's a shame.
There are things though that really work. They take out the fact that like the Justice League comes in at the end from Earth 1 to fight off evil Superman. It's just Superman versus Superman. I thought that worked really well. I really like what they do with Anson Mount's Batman. I think Anson Mount is a great Batman, and there's some really good emotion with him that he brings to that character. And Wonder Woman is my favorite change because they make Wonder Woman. I remember in the comic before Wonder Woman gets knocked out, and then Brian Buccellato takes over. Wonder Woman's very much like, yeah, Clark, go Clark. Like she was like Clark's cheerleader. They remove that completely and make Wonder Woman like when Superman goes too far, Wonder Woman starts to think, oh, we're the bad guys. We made a mistake.
Oh, I kind of like Wonder Woman doubling down on her like. I don't know if I like that change.
I understand. But for the context of this movie, it was a change that worked for the movie.
Oh,
unlike what they did with Nightwing and Flash, it felt like that was this movie's story related, needs that change.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciated that, and I thought it worked well with the story. The other two, whatever. Otherwise, it's a decent adaptation, and it's a fun movie. So, yeah, it was good voice acting. I watched Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie, the first one. Movie's really cool. That movie holds up so well. We
will talk about it soon.
I have to show my my girlfriend these movies because she hasn't seen the first two Raimi films. And she loved it. And the scene that got her was when Norman throws the pumpkin bomb and eviscerates the board members and like the skeleton shot. And she's like, what's this movie rated? You could get away with a lot in 2002.
Well, that was just like
the formula.
That was a PG-13 Mars Attacks move.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
It was.
As long as honestly, one of the big things that I learned about the MPAA, as long as there's no blood, they're pretty okay with people dying as long as it's not graphic. So skeletons, like, oh, it's spooky.
Skeletons are A-okay.
That's why Dune had the water burst out. It's a far more effective death.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, great movie. But because I did something else I'll talk about in a minute, I really wanted to watch Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, the James Gunn MCU film. It's my second favorite MCU film. I still really like that movie. That movie sings for me in a way that that a lot of other MCU films, and the second Guardians especially, just like doesn't for me. That movie is just so good. I really like what James Gunn brought to that movie, what Nicole Perlman brought to that movie. I think it is certainly where Peter Quill is the best as a character. I think Chris Pratt plays him the best in that movie. I also think that a lot of the actors put in probably the best performances in that movie. I don't know if I'm willing to stand alone on that. But I think
Volume 2 has better performances because it's much more of an emotional movie in my opinion.
Sure, I totally understand that. I'm not even going to fight it. I get it. That's where I sit with that movie, and I don't feel strongly enough to debate it. But I watched that because I played the Guardians of the Galaxy video game.
You beat it.
I started it. I beat it. I beat it.
I haven't beat it, and I started it a week ago.
I started it. I beat it. I started it again.
Oh, I love it. That's amazing.
New Game Plus?
New Game Plus, yeah.
Nice.
I was like, hey, Rocket is missing 4 costumes. Got to go back in.
Got to check those corners.
I was able to explore a lot in that game, and so I did find most of the costumes, but I didn't finish them. So I was like, well, time to go back into the game. Awesome game. That game rules. Believe the hype, guys. I think there are some glitches that I experienced with the game. I do think the gameplay, the fights are repetitive after a while, especially when it gets to the end of the game. But that is a fun game, and that is a great story. Especially if you can kind of get the Guardians its choices. So, sometimes the Guardians are going to be on your side, sometimes they're not. You can play them, either, and the outcomes affect the ending of the game, which I found really cool. I played it so that the Guardians loved me. I wanted to build that family unit. And that just made for a very fun experience. The story is one of the best stories I've played. Admittedly, I don't play a lot of games, but I do feel comfortable still saying that I really, really connected with the story on the visceral level. I cannot say enough good things about that game. I've been thinking about very little but that game all week.
I too will bounce off. I too have been playing that game. Not nearly as much. I think it has the best Gamora out of any version that I've seen in any. I love Zoe Saldana, but like in the comics are she's great, but like there's something about this Gamora that they've never done. Because generally Gamora is like she's very stoic. Like she doesn't want to like show the emotions because like she was trained as an assassin and all that.
Yeah.
But like this Gamora, she is still the deadliest woman in the galaxy. She's still like the craziest fighter, but she's so funny and she's so sarcastic and she's so loving, but she can still turn into that deadliest warrior on a second and like in a minute. And I'm like, I think this is the best Gamora that we've ever had. Mm-hmm. I would argue some of the other Guardians too, but I think the James Gunn movie's doing really well. But Gamora, man, like I love that character. The voice acting for the whole game is insane, but like her specifically, she's got like the raspy Scarlett Johansson thing that I love. So she's like, "Yeah, Peter, go get him," and I'm like, "Yeah, Gamora." Like it's a really, really good time.
It's not a spoiler to say that Mantis is in the game.
She's in it. Yep.
Yeah. I really like how they portray Mantis. Very much closer to the comic book version of Mantis, and not so much the James Gunn version, which always kind of irked me because I read that volume before I saw that movie. Mm-hmm. So I really enjoyed this version of Mantis. I thought she was a lot of fun and a great inclusion to the game.
Yeah. Just like Spider-Man PS4, like this really is like a perfect representation of one, Guardians of the Galaxy, and two, Marvel Cosmic, because the thing that it can do that the MCU can't do is it can just touch anything from the comics whatsoever. So they touched any single thing you guys have read in a Guardians of the Galaxy comic is in this comic in some way, or in this game in some way. They build this entire history of like the Annihilation War that was 10 years ago. And they build up all this history, and like it's just like it's so good. And I talked to Ben. I want to try to get Ben to play it for the show, but scheduling's a bitch. I think it's really special, and I'm glad people are receiving it well, because that marketing didn't work.
No, I was kind of like whatever on Guardians of the Galaxy, but hearing so many people, you guys included, say how much this game is fun and how good it is and all the comic stuff that's put into it, it just makes me happy. It's like, man, I probably should get this game. It's probably not for
PS4 though. Get on PS4.
No. Once again, all my PlayStation purchases are going to be until I get that PS5. When is that going to happen? I don't know.
I will not spoil. I can't. I would hate myself forever if I did. But there is a character in that film that I was shocked, and that movie that I was shocked to see in that movie. And a game. It's called a game.
That's what it's called.
Well, when we reviewed God of War, didn't we call God of War a movie once in a while? Because I feel like we did that.
Yeah, it's cinematic. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when like they mention the character, I was like, oh dang, let's go.
Yeah, a lot of really great stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But that's my week. So Ryan, if you want to bounce off.
Hell yeah! I played Guardians of the Galaxy, and then I am continuing to watch Succession because the third season premiered a couple weeks ago. So I'm almost done with season 2. Still one of the greatest shows ever made. Like for real. Like I now see like much like Guardians, believe the hype. It won a bunch of Emmys last year, and now looking back, like it won like Best Actor and stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah, I get it. There's just something, you guys, about watching people with unlimited money just do whatever they want, but also still try to keep their humanity, because like you're just dealing with like you're trying to buy a company for $25 billion, and it's just like that's too much money to even fathom. And like it's a show I have never watched. I've never seen it before. Like it. Like I said, it's like Step Brothers meets like hardcore drama. And it's just so silly at times. And I posted a screenshot of a guy who's like, I'm chasing pussy like a techno Gatsby. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, the show, it's so sharp, it's so fun. I love it so much. I'm still playing Avengers. They have a bunch of new content coming out at the end of the month. There's a new raid with Claw, and there's the new Spider-Man stuff. So I'm trying to level up some characters in preparation of that. I read X-Men #4, which is the spooky Halloween issue of X-Men. It was real fun. I read House of Slaughter #1. Hell yeah, guys. You like something killing the children? How about if they killed some more things? Pretty good. And I did some other stuff, I'm sure, but I don't remember. Go ahead, Ben. Oh, you're done. You did it. We did it.
We did it.
Done.
We're good.
Hold on. I did more. Hold on. I know I did something else. I played a lot more No Man's Sky. That game's still riding around on Shai Hulud, just like wee. Good time.
All right, shall we get into our bread and butter then?
Butter.
That was the right one, right?
Yes.
We'll never know.
All right. Some frustrating news. Just 2 bits.
Oh,
Bits. We'll get through it. I'm gonna actually do this in reversed order. Chris Pratt is Garfield. So.
Okay, so the freaking memes out of this damn thing. Because I remember seeing the Chris Pratt's Garfield news, and then
by the way, real quickly, Ben, I can't stop. I'm having such a hard time not saying crisp rat.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead, Ben.
No, I thought this was fake because I saw for some reason I just thought so many people were still ragging on Chris Pratt being the voice of Mario in the upcoming movie. So they're just like, Chris Pratt is now going to voice Sailor Moon, or Chris Pratt's going to voice Clifford, or some other bullshit somewhere. That when I saw the Garfield one, I'm like, oh, look, another meme. And then it turns out this is actually real, and I don't like this timeline anymore.
He's not the worst. He's not the worst voice for Garfield, I guess.
No, he's not the worst voice for Garfield at all.
But he's like 50 down.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of people way closer to the top that should have been thought of.
Here's the thing: it's the 1-2 punch of he just got cast as Mario. That's what this is.
Yeah.
And it's just like, guys, there are other actors. For real, there are other actors. You don't need
Bill Murray doing.
The Coen brothers can't trick him again.
If Bill Murray if he did a joke in Zombieland where one of his regrets is Garfield, maybe I don't think they're gonna call him back for Garfield.
It's just that's just a lazy choice. It just feels lazy because that's gonna get people in the seats, right? Like when I think of Garfield, like that's not like I think of a Bill Murray or something like a Danny DeVito. Someone would be like a nice thick accent. Not, hey man, it's me, Chris Pratt. Like it's boring. It's just boring.
I think this is gonna end up backfiring in the long run. Not just like this specific movie, but like this constant go-to Chris Pratt casting.
Yeah,
is eventually gonna be like, oh, you mean like that's not enough? Oops.
The internet has turned. Chris, he wasn't the best Chris. He never was going to be.
He had a bad week.
He went to bed sad. Oh, poor Chris.
I mean,
poor guy.
I mean, I still
Ben, did you see that?
See what?
Did you see it? There was a headline article. Chris Pratt went to bed sad because of the internet. It's the headline.
That was the headline.
He was so sad
because people don't like his Garfield, and he puts out really gross messages. And
he put out a really gross message about his wife and his son from his previous marriage.
Yeah. Hey man, the time for Pratt is over. There are so many other Chris's.
Okay, now I'm scared to know what that message.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna worry about it. I was just gonna say it sucks because I still looking back on like obviously Guardians of the Galaxy, but before that, Parks and Rec. I loved him in Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
He was I freaking love Andy Dwyer in that show, and now it's like
he's still funny on that show.
Yeah, but this.
Well, we're not gonna see it.
It's also Garfield, so I don't give a shit. But now I like extra.
I mean, I don't care about Garfield at all. But even when I was playing Mario 3D Land, I'm playing. There's cutscenes and there's story being told through just like actions and like a few little or like little word, like such little dialogue. I'm like, now I'm really nervous for
thinking about Chris Pratt.
There was a lot of Chris Pratt discourse this week. And I think the best summation is when someone said, "When did the internet turn on Chris Pratt?" And someone was like, "It was the homophobia."
It was the homophobia.
And it was, and that's it. Like that's all you need to know. It's the homophobia, and then it's just been a downhill slide from there.
Well, one more Guardians film, and maybe he's dead.
Well, we know Batista doesn't care anymore.
That's true. Batista's already out.
It's not just one more Guardians film. It's
the holiday special too.
It's Thor also in the holiday special.
Oh man, we got 3 of these motherfuckers. Sorry, I made myself laugh.
It's all right.
Hey,
We're 44 minutes in. You can swear that's this point.
Look, Batista, on the note of Batista, because I thought that like he was not holding back while being in production on it. I was like, dang.
He got his paycheck.
Yeah. I was just like, if I were sold on the concept of this tragic backstory related to Thanos and knew Thanos was in the movies, and then I never even faced Thanos, I'd be pissed too.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't blame him.
Brandon, how good is Drax in that game?
So good.
Right? I can understand because like all the nuance that Batista doesn't have is in this game.
Yeah.
So like I get it.
I even think Batista's good as Drax. I just think now the game reminded me of that comic. And now that I'm remembering the comic, I'm like, oh man.
Oh right, he has potential. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Some frustrating news for me because I got this year, I guess, really into the Mighty Ducks franchise. More so than Ben. I've seen more Mighty Ducks than Ben.
Are they the Mighty Ducks yet?
They are, in fact, the Mighty Ducks now.
Are they anymore? Go ahead.
Emilio Estevez.
Oh boy.
Refused to get vaccinated.
Oh no.
And he's been fired from Mighty Ducks season 2.
Gordon Bombay.
What a Gordon Bombay move, if I've ever heard one.
His character should die of COVID.
Oh my god, yeah.
I said recast him with his dad. Put Martin Sheen in there.
Why are you 40 years older?
I think his character should die of COVID. I think we shouldn't even beat around the bush about it. It should just be like, yeah, why is the actor not on the show? It's because he wouldn't get vaccinated. So
it's because he's stupid.
Where they left Gordon Bombay and the rest of those characters, I'm so upset. I was so upset. I was like, really? You had to be the anti-vaxxer?
So Ivan, don't spoil the show, but they need him, right? Is he's essential, right?
Yeah.
All right, so that show's canceled, right?
No,
no.
I'm sure they'll find a way around it. You're not gonna have a successful first season and be like, sorry, all you kids who just got your big break.
That's
F
true.
you
No,
because of Emilio Estevez hating to get a needle in his arm.
They'll do Roseanne without Roseanne.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Yeah, Connors.
The Connors went for a far longer time than I thought. Good for them.
Made a lot of money.
While Emilio Estevez's character might have been important to the first season, Emilio Estevez is not the Mighty Ducks.
No.
That's true.
So they'll be fine.
Neither are the Mighty Ducks.
They made the right call. If he refused to get vaccinated, didn't want to be safe, especially when you are working with
children
who cannot get vaccinated yet.
Bruh.
No. I'm glad they fired him. Good.
Yeah, me too.
Good. Kill his character.
I'm upset they did it because I like that show, but good. I'm glad they stuck to their guns, honestly. Vaccine mandates.
This is definitely a you are the chosen one moment because damn it.
We got Cobra Kai. Did you know that Ralph Macchio is 60?
Next week's bad news.
Next week's bad news. Ralph Macchio, anti-vaxxer.
Oh god. Okay, so I think I told you guys this on the text thread, but I know I told Brandon this for sure. Weeks ago when they had the big premiere for Dancing with the Stars, the guy who plays the main sensei in Karate, the Cobra Kai sensei, what's his name? What's the actor's name?
Kreese? I don't know the actor.
The older guy, like the main dude.
I don't know the actor. His character's name is Kreese.
Okay,
Continue.
yeah. So yeah, he's on Dancing with the Stars. He walks into the ballroom and he's like, "Is there fear in this?" He's freaking hamming it up, and everyone was in the ballroom was like, "No, sensei," and he wasn't that good of a dancer, but whatever. Anyways, I thought that was funny because everyone was like, "Oh my god, Cobra Kai, yeah."
It's always cool when you get a second 15 seconds of fame.
Yeah,
30 whole seconds.
Yeah.
All right.
But anyways, moving on.
Some casting news.
Oh.
Remember when Zack Snyder said he pitched a Star Wars movie and now it's at Netflix under a different name?
Hell yeah.
Well, he's cast Sofia Boutella as the lead.
Yo, man, he gets good actors for his movies. Hell yeah.
I love Sofia Boutella. Truthfully, I like the idea of him going back to doing a space opera. I'm into that. I'd love to see what that looked like. Yeah, bring it on. It's called Rebel Moon.
I'm glad it's not actual Star Wars, so as long as it's not that, I'm cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, he himself, I may have some problems with how he makes his movies, but I cannot deny that he is a cinephile. He's bringing the Kurosawa back to Star Wars, even though it never left. But still, whatever. You want to do Seven Samurai in space, do it. Whatever.
It left a little.
A little bit.
It's back now.
Literally all of Clone Wars is not Kurosawa.
Yeah.
Okay. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is a new live-action Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs film coming, which is directed by Mark Webb. This is from Disney. This is the Disney one.
Spider-Man, man.
And Rachel Ziegler has already been cast as Snow White.
West Side
Well,
Story
this week we found out that Gal Gadot is in talks to play the evil queen. She's in final negotiations.
She is evil queen. It makes sense.
I can live with that. I'm cool with that.
Lean into that evilness.
I want to see Gal Gadot play
Do you
a
think
bad
they'll-
guy.
Do you think they'll let her be a gross witch?
No.
I think she will be it for 5 seconds, and then she'll be hot the whole movie.
I think
Yeah,
I think that's more
100%.
likely too.
They'll give her like a inch longer nose, and then go, no, never mind. No, too ugly.
Snow White, that's the one with the apples, right?
I
Yeah.
want to hear her old hag impression.
I just want her to go apple.
The thing Snow White's not like a property I super care about, but the thing that interests me about this movie, because it's a big expensive live action movie, they're gonna cast all those dwarves as like really famous comedians and shit. So I'm really excited to start seeing casting for all those characters.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
me too. If it'll look something like the casting for the other one with Kristen Stewart, where they had
Snow White and the
Bob
Huntsman?
where they had Bob Hoskins and Nick Frost.
And
Ian McShane.
Ian McShane.
Yep.
Oh, right. Right.
And Billy. Oh, hold on, I'll find it.
Billy Connolly?
Yeah, Billy Connolly.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's a good.
Yeah,
Chris
those
Hemsworth was
were
the
great.
Huntsman.
Those were great dwarves. They weren't the Disney dwarves, but they were great dwarves.
Chris Hemsworth was the huntsman in that one.
All
We
Yeah,
right.
he
know-
got his own
we know
movie
that.
after it.
Yeah.
It almost made him quit.
Yeah. Oh God, that's right. It did.
Alright.
Movie.
Winter's War.
Netflix has cast Firelord Ozai for their live action Avatar: The Last Airbender series. Sorry. Daniel Day Kim.
This is great casting.
This
I
is
have-
awesome casting.
I have little faith right now in that show, but this is great casting.
Yeah, I agree. I'm trying to hold the faith. So like seeing this, I'm like, oh shit, the dude rules. Oh, Netflix though.
Yeah, that show. I'm kind of.
No, this is the one that made the two guys leave.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah. I know this is the one that made the original creators leave. But at the same time, Daniel Day Kim as Firelord Ozai. It's like,
I'll wait for a trailer.
Yeah.
yeah.
They've
Yeah.
already
Listen,
cast.
Cowboy Bebop is looking sick. So like
Yeah, but Cowboy Bebop has the original creator as a consultant.
Yeah, no, I know.
All right. He joins.
Just it is notable that they left the Netflix show and they were like, I feel like that was really dirty. Let's clean ourselves up by making a ton more Avatar projects over at Nickelodeon, because that was a bad experience.
I'm glad that
So I don't have a lot of faith right now in it.
I'll tell you what. I wonder if we would have gotten new Avatar stuff if this didn't fail so hard for them. Because they're so it's a blessing in disguise almost. Maybe
we wouldn't be getting it this soon. I think it might have happened eventually still.
Yeah,
but I don't think it would have happened now. Because
blessing
they would have been staying developing on that.
Yeah.
I think that is a nice blessing, but I wouldn't feel as shitty if we didn't already have a shitty Last Airbender adaptation. And if we're just gonna have a second one, I'm gonna be like,
it's gonna be a bum. Yeah.
oh.
What are you talking about? There's no other Avatar adaptation besides the show.
Ben, we can't pretend.
Okay, fine.
We live in a hellscape. We can't pretend.
Right. Okay.
He joins the already cast of Gordon Cormier, Dallas Liu, Kia Wantio, and Ian Owsley as Aang, Zuko, Katara, and Sokka, respectively.
It is. I mean, there's still a little bit of coolness that it's happening, but we know the circumstances behind it, so
Oh, it's happening. Oh, it's happening.
Oh yeah.
Daniel Day Kim is Ozai. That's so cool, though.
Yeah, but he's not even in most of the first part, so it doesn't even matter.
I don't care. Just seeing those.
They're gonna put all three
flashbacks-
books. They're gonna put all three books in one. That's the series.
We can't. This isn't the Eternals. We can't do it.
All right.
That's some foreshadowing.
The MCU Halloween special is moving forward.
There's an MCU Halloween special?
Yeah, it's the Werewolf by Night. It's rumored to be Werewolf by Night. We know it's Werewolf by Night.
Okay.
We've now
we've talked about this like 4 times on
We
this podcast.
we now know that the lead character will be played by Gail Garcia Bernal.
Hell yeah.
Deadline makes the wording clear that he's been cast as the lead in the Halloween special. He's the guy in Werewolf by Night.
This guy is awesome. I think his most recent movie, he was in Old. He was in the new M. Night movie Old, and I didn't see Old, but he's a terrific talent. He's also Latina, so that's awesome. So that feels like we know the direction the character's going. It's probably Werewolf by Night, baby.
Put money on it now, brothers. Blade is in that Halloween special.
Oh yeah.
Bet.
Moon Knight.
I'll tell you what, though. I wouldn't put it past him because he showed up somewhere I didn't expect. Spoilers. Right. Anyway, so that's cool. They were looking at the guy from In the Heights and Transformers: Rise of the Beast when we last heard.
Okay.
Oh right.
Cool.
And then another rumor, and then this is a rumor. There were a couple of MCU rumors that I didn't really bring up, but one that I want to talk about was that supposedly Jim Carrey has been cast as MODOK in the She-Hulk TV series.
I did not hear this one, and I do not believe it.
I don't believe you.
I definitely do not believe this whatsoever.
You want to know where this came from?
No, is it like MCU bullshit news?
Is it
Reddit.
Illuminati?
Reddit?
Reddit.
No thanks.
I wanted to bring it up because I actually kind of like this. I'd be into that.
The casting would be fine. That I highly unlikely.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of rumors. This one doesn't feel remotely like it would actually happen.
Sure.
I just wish I had a giant salt rock for every time we had a rumor. I would just pick up and be like the grain of salt.
Yeah,
I want to point out, Ben, you wouldn't get a lot of use out of that one because all the rumors that we talked about for Spider-Man No Way Home ended up being
Here's
true.
the thing. Like the last couple of years of rumors, like 90% of them are true. This one, especially because it's from Reddit, like this one just feels like She-Hulk. Why would MODOK show up in She-Hulk unless it's just like a weird joke? Like it just seems like that seems like it's out of left field.
He's going to show up like, remember Zola wasn't the face yet? In the first one, he's going to show up like that and then become the head.
He's just going to be the doctor. No, that's so silly. I can't believe it.
All right. Well, let's move on then.
Yo, they did release, speaking of stuff, they did release a new Spider-Man poster today.
No, they didn't. You fell for a fake account. That's a fan-made poster. I looked at it.
The one that's released today?
Yeah,
just now?
The one you retweeted? That wasn't real.
That's so sad.
Oh, the one with Doc Ock?
The Doc Ock with the holding the masks.
Wow.
That's a fan. I double checked. That's a
amazing.
Fan-made poster, not real.
Well,
is the trailer still coming out tomorrow?
No.
It is. You're right. No, it is right. You're right. Oh, they faked it. They faked me.
I know. I fell for it when I saw you retweet it, and I'm like, oh dang! And then I looked, and I'm like, wait.
No, they released another poster. No, they released another poster today. They actually released a real one today. That's the one that I'm talking about with Green Goblin in the background. They released an official one today.
Did you tweet that one?
I didn't retweet that one, but that one is official. Because I was like, there's definitely a poster that got released today that's real. There
has been a poster floating around marketing that hasn't been released to the public. Well, not really. It's got the Doc Ock arms in the frame with Tom Holland Spider-Man.
Yeah, that one.
This is the real one. This is like on a bus.
Yeah, this one I saw today too. Yeah, that one has Green Goblin literally in the background.
That one's been seen on bus stops and buses in general.
They're just telling us Green Goblin's in there. I love it. I love it.
Well, we saw the movie presentation.
I know, but like they're showing that he's like it is the Goblin design from Spider-Man 1.
Yeah.
Is what they're showing.
I just remember thinking to watching the movie one, being like, oh, they're just telling you now.
Oh yeah, Sparks. When you saw the movie, did they have like the Spider-Man thing before, just saying stuff about the movie?
Mm-mm.
Oh yeah, they were. I won't repeat it, but they're like, yeah, this villain's in it, this villain's in it, this villain's in it, who have not been confirmed yet. It's wild.
It was a Nuvi thing.
Yeah, it was Maria Menounos.
Okay, no, we didn't have that.
Yeah,
it wasn't Maria. It was these other guys, but still,
there's some podcasters. Good for them, by the way.
Yeah,
but still, it's like, oh, dude, spoilers.
It's crazy.
That trailer's got to drop soon.
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened this week. Honestly,
I'm almost certain.
Cool.
Now the Morbius trailer's out of the way.
Eternals.
Yeah. All right. Maybe they'll release it before the movie, so you get the trailer and then you see the movie.
Oh god.
Oh Lord.
All right. Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino are teaming up once again, this, for the third time, to create a new shared horror comic universe. This will be a series of miniseries, graphic novels, hardcovers, maxi series, all drawn by Andrea Sorrentino, all written by Jeff Lemire, connected in a similar mythology, but not like more Black Hammer, less Gideon Falls is what we're looking at.
So he's yes, but more actually kind of like what Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips are doing with all of their interconnected side stories.
Right, sure, yeah.
So like Pulp, all of my heroes are junkies. All those books are set within the same universe but disconnected. So like he's doing that, but for horror. And I'm like, everyone loves both these creators. So like,
I love Gideon Falls. It's so good. So if they're going back to horror, I'm there. It's going to start with The Passageway in June 2022, and then followed by 10,000 Black Feathers, which is a miniseries. So the first one's a graphic novel. This one's a miniseries in September.
Nice. I love it.
There you go.
More Sorrentino, baby.
Yeah. One rumor that came out is a Darth Maul animated series is potentially in development.
I would love that.
I would like it. When would it take place? We've seen so much of that mother effer's life.
It would take place before when he's with Crimson Dawn, but before he leads Crimson Dawn.
Okay.
So it's after Revenge of the Sith and before Solo.
Got it. What leads into Solo?
Yeah.
Got it.
I still want to know how Solo got to Rebels. Honestly, that's the leap that I want to know. I get the crime boss one. I want to know how he became the old man.
Sure.
We gotta wait. Gotta wait for more shows.
That'll be the sequel series that never happens. No, sorry, that'll be the sequel series that happens in live action with Ray Park returning to play
Old Man Maul.
Old Man Maul.
Yeah.
But Sam Witwer is the voice, not Peter Serafinowicz.
Oh my God! No, you have to get Peter back just out of spite to help him.
No, because you got Peter Serafinowicz back for Solo, but then redubbed him with Sam Witwer after.
That's right. Wild. Hollywood's weird.
Hollywood's weird. And then some actually good news. Marvel's Midnight Suns has been delayed to 2022.
Good. Fine.
Video game delays are always a good thing.
Hey, it means that they just need to make that polish better, and I'm okay with waiting a little while longer. I've waited how many years for Kingdom Hearts 3?
Not very patiently, let's be honest.
I still waited. I mean, when they announced,
what choice did you have, Ben?
When they announced, hey, did I go on gaming Twitter and bitch and moan when they announced the delay? No, I did not.
No, you came here.
Did I still bitch and moan though?
Yes.
No, I didn't.
Oh yeah, definitely, because
he has the receipts.
My Christmas wish this year is Kingdom Hearts 3 next year. My wish didn't come true, but damn it, next year.
1 year he was right.
Ben, we've all been here. Who are you trying to fool?
The past is the
Mag
past.
has been here the whole time too.
I'm pretty sure Mag is.
All right. Guess what time it is?
It's 11:02.
Is it? Hey, that's too far off.
I got a clock
trailers.
right in front of me.
Oh my goodness, trailers.
Yes!
We're in the trailer park now. Damn.
Hell
Yes! Thank God!
It wasn't a big news week, unless I missed something huge.
No.
All right.
Oh, we're just messing with Ben Mag. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Mag asked what happened. I'm not going to pull it up. Sparks, you and I have seen Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yes. I have not finished the season, but I've seen most.
Neither have I, but what did you think of the prequel movie trailer?
I like the animation. I like it a lot.
So
I'm gonna watch this show now because this trailer was effing wild. And after watching Demon Slayer, and I'm like, I could use more cool sword stuff.
Bro, you are primed from what you've said about Demon Slayer for Jujutsu Kaisen. The crossover between the audiences for that is strong.
Cool monster stuff. I didn't realize was like in the show.
Yeah. I think you would really like Jujutsu Kaisen. I need to finish that season, which is on HBO Max, and then I'm pumped for this movie.
That's how fan.
Yeah, this is probably going to motivate me to like finish that show soon. Not too soon, but soon.
Yeah, that's how this is oh no, I was gonna say Fanny also watched Jujutsu Kaisen. She hasn't seen this trailer yet. I don't even know if she knows it's gonna happen. But it's also that's another anime that she's like, hey, you should probably watch Jujutsu Kaisen. It's really freaking good.
So this is in continuity. This is a prequel to the TV series, to the anime. And we get to see the panda bear fighter. I thought that was cool because I met him in the show.
Panda bears are real cool, and he's like a fighter. I'm like into it. I'm into it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm totally gonna go back and finish that show because I think I'm a little behind you, Sparks, but I watched a lot of it.
Is it just one season so far?
Yes.
Easy.
Very easy. It's easy.
That might be on my docket after Bebop.
Bebop.
Resident Evil: Welcome to Raccoon City.
This was just like a 1 minute trailer, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. This was good, Sparks. You're right. Good tone. Good spooky stuff.
Yeah, this
wow.
was my favorite trailer for this movie by far.
Yeah, I like this trailer a whole lot. This actually got me pumped for the movie.
Mhm.
I really like how it's cut. I really like all the monster designs. I'm really enjoying.
There's some in this that we didn't see before that are like practicals instead of CGI that I'm like, oh, I'm into this. I'm digging this.
The thing that really excites me about, like, they're really digging into the lore of like the Spencer family and like the origins of Umbrella and like experimenting on his own family, which turned into zombies and stuff. Like all that stuff is awesome. Again, like the Itchy Tasty and like you see like the and I'm like, yeah, that's all good shit. Like stuff that like you don't really need in a Resident Evil thing. But like they care about the lore enough, it looks like. So I'm really stoked.
Yeah, me too. Stranger Things 4.
Holy shit, these kids are old.
Yeah, they're getting really old.
Same haircuts, man. Will and Mike, same haircuts. God, we remember one of the first things we reviewed was like Stranger Things like 5 years ago. We binged it. We reviewed it 5 years ago. These kids are like the same age.
I remember 5 years ago singing in a movie theater. I don't know what movie it was, but there was a trailer for Stranger Things, and all three of us were like, man, I cannot wait to see that show. And then we binged it, and it was one of the best things I watched in all that entire year.
I can't believe. I think it looks good. Like it's still kind of like a teaser. It doesn't show you a lot, like 80s high school Russia stuff.
Season 3 was the one that took place during it was the one that took place during 4th of July.
Mm-hmm.
I watched that entire season in one day.
We did our fake nerd. That's the first fake nerds watch that was on.
Yeah, it was.
I like that season. That was a good season.
Yeah.
I'm ready for more.
I am ready for more. I'm definitely intrigued by the fact that Stranger Things seems to have created this like weird motif where it's always set during like some kind of seasonal event. We had Christmas, then Halloween, then 4th of July, and now spring break.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. All the characters coming back. I like all the ones I saw. I was like, okay, all right, you.
Yeah. And I think it's been enough time where I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm ready for more. I'm excited.
The kids definitely look a lot older than they probably would have because of the pandemic delayed filming the show.
I think it's Will. Will, his hair does not match his age.
No,
at all whatsoever.
He got way tall. It's not working anymore.
Yeah, it's fascinating to watch.
Yeah. All right. 8-Bit Christmas. I'm actually a little surprised you wanted this one on here, Sparks.
I don't know why. It's mostly like for Ben, but I think it's well within our realm of talking about it.
It feels like
a Christmas movie about trying to get a Nintendo.
It feels like a Christmas story, but like with video games instead.
It's Jingle All the Way.
Yeah,
it is Jingle All the Way, but with a Nintendo. And actually, when I saw this on the thing, I was like, oh damn, they actually did put this on here. Because I wasn't gonna say it. I just found this on a trailer on my Facebook page, and I just watched it, and I'm like, okay, that's nice. He's Neil Patrick Harris as a kid trying to get a Nintendo. I've been there before, and
I remember when I was Neil Patrick Harris trying to get a Nintendo. Yeah, me too.
I love that it's a period piece Christmas movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and it is. I love the bit with the late 80s. And then I also love that it's doing like the good kind of narrator of a story thing where like you've got the bit where it's like you were wearing a helmet. Yes, helmet.
Yes.
And that's the kind of if this movie's full of that kind of like rewriting of events as he tells the story, great.
An unreliable
I love that kind of stuff.
Unreliable narrator. Like, oh wait, was it like a blue shirt and then immediately changes?
Right.
Like, that's cool.
Or like where he's like super exaggerating the violence about wanting to get a Nintendo. It's like, is that really how it happened?
Yeah.
Like, oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I saw an old lady punch someone in the throat.
Yes, like 100%.
I'm like, you guys know me, like I'm not really big into Christmas movies, but like this like I like A Christmas Story a lot. So like this feels like this is charming, and I like Neil Patrick Harris, and I'm like, it seems like a cool, fun story where like because it's an unreliable narrator, things are constantly changing throughout the story, and that seems like this like a good time.
No, I also love how the daughter is also like, what? And he's like, yeah, he just got real. I just like the reactions or like when Neil Patrick Harris was trying to figure out what year it was, and she's like, Dad, I was like, okay, fine, the late 80s. But this trailer is like, this does look like a cute Christmas movie, and I kind of want to see this. I'm glad it's on HBO Max. I don't have to go to the theaters. I can just watch it here at home.
HBO Max, okay.
Yeah, it's not getting a theatrical
free.
release, which I'm okay with.
I might watch it for free, maybe.
Yeah, I'll probably get this to watch because when I saw this, I'm like, they just put that on there because they know I'm nostalgic bitch and I love Nintendo.
To be fair,
I'm wearing the goddamn shirt and the hat too.
I do think it's a good trailer though.
Yeah.
I love unreliable narrator, like on purpose comedy films where they make them mess with the story as they go. So I hope the movie's full of that kind of bit.
Yeah. And also, funny enough, back then in the late 80s, after 85 and like 86, 87, Nintendos were stupid hard to get, kind of like how Wii's were back in 06 when that first came out, or Switches.
Yeah.
So pretty much when a Nintendo console of that magnitude comes out, they're so hard to find. So of course, I mean, maybe in like 15, 20 years, we'll probably see people making Christmas movies about them trying to get a Wii or something. Who knows?
Well, I mean, honestly, right now people can't get PS5s, so
yeah. But there's a reason for that. It's because of a chip shortage.
That's true.
All right, Morbius. Unless you have more, I'm sorry.
No, I'm done.
No, not you. Him.
Well,
Which
Me?
him?
Sparks.
Oh, I was just really quickly like looking at who wrote it and if I could find like things they've done before, but I can't.
Might be new people's.
Could be new people.
Yeah.
Right.
Kevin Jakubowski wrote this movie.
Good job, Kevin.
Oh, it's based on a book.
oh,
A book.
A
Cool.
book, you say?
Speaking of books,
based upon his novel of the same name. So the writer of the novel wrote this movie. That's cool.
oh, that is cool.
That's cool.
You probably got a big old check for that. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
good for him.
I guess speaking of books, Ryan.
Comic books.
Morbius, more Bookius.
More Morbius. Listen, guys, real quick. Something. I'm on Twitter a lot, right? And this week was super interesting with the Eternals coming out and like all these movies happening. And then the Morbius trailer came out, and everyone was just shitting so hard on it, super hard. And then I watched it, and I'm like, man, people are just so caught up in themselves sometimes. I really think so. I don't think this trailer looks bad at all. I think it looks totally fine. If this were released in 2005, people would eat it up. I think it looks totally cool. I like the look of his powers. I don't care about Jared Leto very much, but like, I don't care about the Sony stuff anymore. I don't care about anything Marvel stuff. I'm just like, well, it's a movie that's coming out. I think it looks pretty cool. I like vampires a lot. That's where I'm coming from.
I mean, when we see him as like the vampire part, I'm like, that's pretty. That's really scary.
I think he looks insanely good. I think Morbius himself looks awesome.
Yeah, I also agree with you that I really like how they visualize his powers.
I like that, and I'm actually. I mean, once we go see it, I'm like, all right, because at first when I was expecting this trailer to crash and burn, but I saw him, I was like, actually looks pretty damn good. I
laughed at the end. I like that joke at the end.
Yeah.
Oh,
Venom 2 opened my mind. I don't think it's a great joke, but like I think people are just like overly hateful for sometimes.
I want to know what Sparks has to say.
Yeah.
I think like visually, like the conceptualization of what he's doing, like it all looks cool. Like I like the look of all the powers and everything. There's just nothing about the story that interests me necessarily.
Yeah, that's fair.
It feels paint by numbers.
Yeah.
As a like I know this story already, and so there's nothing drawing me to the plot.
It looks exactly like the plot of Venom 1, where there's an evil scientist guy who's going to want to get the power of our hero.
Yeah,
so,
essentially.
I agree with that.
And that bums me out. Like I'm like I want there to be something of meat on the bones, and like visually. The only thing that's really grabbing me is the vampire powers, how they look. Like that does look good, and that's kind of the only thing getting me right now. There's nothing like I'm not that big a fan of Leto.
What about Matt Smith and or Jared Harris?
Like they don't mean anything to me right now because they're just there. Like it all is emptiness. That's not a like, oh, what will the movie be? It's just that this is the second trailer I was hoping I was hoping the story would have something to grab me, and it I don't think it does. It doesn't mean that the movie will necessarily disappoint. I just don't think that I'm going to get anything that's going to hook me, and that's a bummer. I want more than just what you'd expect.
Morbius.
But yeah, I hate the joke at the end.
Yeah,
that's fine.
100%. I fully agree with like the people who are on Twitter who are saying, "I'm a Marvel character you never heard of." Just kidding. I'm another Marvel character you've absolutely never heard of.
People might talk about Venom. Morbius, I get. Venom is like one of the most popular characters of the 90s.
But no, I get you. I'm saying in the context of the world. Like,
people know who Venom is.
No, they don't. They don't have a name for Venom in the Sony world. They don't know who his name. When he goes, I'm Venom, like...
That's actually true. There is nothing in those movies where they're like, "Hello, my name is Venom. What's up?"
That's the thing, is like that's why I hate the joke, is because like it's not like Venom is known, like, oh, criminals are afraid of Venom. If anything, they're afraid of like the Lethal Protector. Like they don't know this bit where he goes, "I am Venom." Like it's like Morbius has seen the movie.
I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if the movie Morbius acknowledges Venom happening.
Okay,
you know what
so
I mean?
Okay, so this trailer personified chaotic Sony energy to me. Like, this is Sony just like, yeah, we're just unhinged, throwing Raimi Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, Oscorp, Venom, MCU Spider-Man. I'm like, what are you doing, man? I'm kind of into it.
That's why I like it, because it's like, they don't seem to care, and that like makes me happy, because I'm sure Kevin Feige is pulling his hair out, and I'm just like, sometimes I also like chaos. I get it. I like
the chaotic Sony energy. The reason why Venom like irks me a bit is the first one is that it wasn't like Sony just being like, yeah, try and stop us. It was really just like, this could work in the MCU, right? This could work in the MCU. And that's why I like Venom 2 more. One of the many reasons why I like Venom 2 more. But Morbius was the personification of like, yeah, we don't even care if you consider us MCU. We're just doing this.
Yeah. I'm just like, I'm past the point of just like hating things unnecessarily. And like, I agree with Sparks. Like, it could be totally an uninteresting movie, but like, give credit where it's due. Like, I don't think this is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. You know, like some people.
No, not at all.
I think some people on the internet are just very
mean.
We're going to talk about the Eternals today, my friends.
If I were going to want to see a Morbius movie, visually, this is how I'd want to see Morbius look.
Yeah.
100%. I don't disagree with that at all. And truly, the only part of the trailer I didn't like really didn't like I'm not interested in the story, but the only part I didn't like is that joke. I just thought that joke was like mind-numbingly stupid.
Yeah.
Every other like screw you Marvel reference that they're throwing out, I'm like, I don't know, man, I'm not fighting you. But that last one pissed me off.
Just do it. Grayson.
Hey,
our good friend Grayson.
Sorry, Brandon. Hit this button.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah.
Your friend
Grayson says, the way I understand this, the Sony trailers is a bit of Ryan Reynolds energy, but also listening to the audience theories, and is just like, I like this, but this is the Spider-Verse.
Like why would Morbius be the See, that's the thing that I like, that I'm kind of like having fun with this trailer. Like, how would this be the Spider-Verse?
Well, because Brandon, it opens up a web of possibilities.
He said it. He said it.
He said it.
Jared said it himself.
Oh wait! Oh god, that's right. That was the trailer.
Smug and weird. I think more than anything is just like, I don't know what it means. Like, we're all kind of, I feel like we're all waiting for the bow to break to like show us exactly what the future of Spider-Man is, but we won't know until after No Way Home.
Yeah.
Oh, Tyrese is in this movie, and I want to support Tyrese.
Yeah, like, I don't care what
robot arm.
What we're doing now. Yeah, he's got the robot arm. I don't care really what we're gonna be doing at this point. Like, you know, the MCU will always be the MCU. I only care about like, what is this gonna do to MCU Spider-Man? That's all I care about, because like, I don't want to lose MCU Spider-Man. I just mean like the greater business context, not that the Morbius film is responsible for like continuity bullshit. That's not what I mean.
Yeah.
That's the only part of like the Sony kerfuffle I care about. Make your weird Morbius movie. I hope it's worth watching. I don't know if it is right now, other than the visuals.
If you guys are interested in a modern Morbius comic, Vita Ayala wrote a pretty decent run.
Oh yeah, good call.
Yep.
Moonfall.
Moon's haunted.
Moonfall.
Moonfall.
No. Moon has a monster in it.
Moon monster.
Moon's got a monster in it.
Moon's haunted.
Moon's got a monster.
So Roland Emmerich has made a lot of big disaster movies. This definitely feels like this feels heavy. I feel the scope of this movie in a way that at least the trailers, that I really haven't in a lot of his other movies. Like the effects in this one are top notch, you guys. Like that moon feels like it's falling, right? There's also like a big tentacle nanomachine monster. What?
Also,
I do feel like it's him being like, if I throw the moon at the Earth, I can put every single disaster idea I've ever had.
Earthquake,
in one
tsunami,
movie.
storm.
I can do it all.
Take that, Dean Devlin with Geostorm.
Take that, exactly.
What I was gonna say, I was in the middle. Oh fuck, what was I gonna say? Damn.
Hey, look, if this is how he makes Independence Day 3, I'm in.
Just have this be like Glass or what is it, Split? It's like a sideways sequel.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Roland Emmerich movies, like, they're not deep, they're fun, like disaster movies. But this cast, like, I like Halle Berry.
The White House down. I'm kidding.
Is that a disaster? Well, it's disastrous. Halle Berry's in it. Patrick Wilson's in it. I like that dude a lot. That dude will carry any bad movie.
The guy who played John Bratno, he was in Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Sam.
Oh, it's Sam. Yeah. I forget his name. Yeah. This is like his first like big movie.
Yeah.
This movie was delayed because of the pandemic and stuff. So like he would have been famous like a year ago, but now he's getting it. I'm glad.
I talked about it on the first time I saw this, but the first time we saw the trailer for Moonfall, that I want him to bring the campiness of Independence Day Resurgence to his future disaster movies, and I still see that here. I still see that we're probably doing that here. We're not taking it too seriously, and I'm so there for crazy big budget sci-fi.
There's a line at the end where he's like, well, we're inside of the moon or whatever. He's like, that's the greatest line I've ever heard. And I'm like, yeah, this is a fun one. This isn't a cheeky like. Or
when Donald Sutherland is like, the five. There have been 5 extinction level events on Earth. This is the 6th.
That's what I was gonna say. Donald Sutherland, I love him, and I don't know why. Just like him being the old man in the back, like with all the answers, it's like he's
Every Roland Emmerich movie has the old quaky guy who's like, I knew it the whole time. I had the answers. Every single one, and I'm like, never change.
No.
This looks really fun, and like even if it's not good, like it's a scale unlike he's made before, where like the entire movie is a big disaster. They're in the moon, so like big space monster. Hell yeah,
definitely.
All right.
Moon's haunted.
Oh, Brandon, this isn't a big spoiler or anything, but does the monster in Moonfall not remind you of something from Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
I saw it.
Yeah. I like it.
I was like, oh. All right. Star Wars: The Book of Boba Fett.
Yes.
When I first saw this trailer, I was like, oh yeah, the Boba Fett theme by Ludwig. I forgot his last name. Is awesome.
Yes. Ooh. I'll be honest. I didn't love the trailer. I liked it a lot. But the thing this is exactly the thing that I want from Star Wars. The Mandalorian was already giving it to me a little bit, but like the true outlaw west of post Return of the Jedi Star Wars world, where like Boba Fett's trying to become like the new kingpin of Tatooine. This is exactly the show I've always wanted to watch. I just hope it lives up to my expectations.
I'm very interested in staying in one location in Star Wars for a season.
Yeah.
Star Wars doesn't usually do that. Like, you don't live in a place for a long period of time. So I'm very interested in doing that.
Yeah.
I
am too.
I mean, I saw this trailer and I was hooked. Like all the Boba Fett stuff we got in Mandalorian season 2, I absolutely loved.
I'm so happy for Tamara Morrison.
Yeah.
It changed my mind on Boba Fett entirely. So I'm like, yeah, I'm looking forward to this. This looks. I'm glad for him and for Ming-Na Wen. I mean, she's getting that more of that money, and she's a kick-ass character in this show. I'm like, hell's yeah.
We got a hint of how like Outer Rim politics work on Tatooine specifically from Mandalorian. So I'm hoping that gets even more fleshed out. Why having someone at the top is necessary on Tatooine in the crime world. Like why that has to be that way.
To reference another thing involving kingpins, in Spider-Man, Kingpin is the leader of crime. So like when you take the leader out, that causes chaos amongst all these smaller crime organizations. So like you need a Kingpin of crime to make everything work out. So like that is a really cool idea that I can't wait to see in Star Wars. I love it.
That's why every time someone says, "Yeah, we took out the Kingpin," it's like, well, now you have a power vacuum. Everyone's gonna kill each other.
Yep.
And I love Boba Fett. The main thing that I love as the takeaway from this trailer specifically is him saying like, "I want to rule with respect rather than fear."
Yeah.
All voices are welcome at the table.
Yes. One last thing.
I was gonna say like the last scene in the trailer with I forgot Ming-Na Wen's character's name, but when she's like, "You would have spoken to Jabba with
Fennec Shaw."
Yeah, with Fennec Shaw saying that, and then Boba's like, "Speak freely." I was like, "Oh." It wasn't menacing, but it's like, and he's like, "Oh man," and then Boba's like, "No, I'll listen to you, dude. What do you gotta say? Speak freely, man. What do you got?"
That's the way I want to do things. Yeah, I'm into it. I love it.
I'm just so excited. Oh yeah.
Brian, you had one more thing you wanted to add?
I forgot it. I'm just really excited. Hell yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I'm excited.
It's not important. It's cool.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one.
Someone sent me a tweet that I just wanted to share with you guys, which is Kevin Feige says, "F you, delays Spider-Man No Way Home to 2025. Enjoy your leaks, bitches."
I do remember. I think this might be the case, but I think this is the first time that we've seen a live action Ithorian, which is the aliens with like the weird heads and they talk out of their sides. So I think this is the first time we've seen one of those in live action, and I love those aliens.
No, we saw one.
There's one in Mandalorian.
Was there?
There's one in the bar in A New Hope also.
Oh, okay. So
that's where they first appear. The piece doesn't open up like it was just a big head.
Okay, so
it was early puppeteering.
So the first time since the first time. How about
it is cool that we're getting more of them though, because puppeteering's come a long way, so it's going to look great. Yeah.
I mean, come on, look at Dark Crystal, how good that puppeteering was.
Hell yeah.
Dude, the Jedi of that species that chases Grievous in the Tartakovsky series.
That's
one of my favorite. Yeah, I love him. He has that scream that he uses amplified by the Force that Grievous like claws his way through.
That's what I'm waiting for. That exact thing is what I'm waiting for. The Ithorian Jedi stuff.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, I really like how this looks. I'm so happy for Tamara Morrison getting paid.
Put that in my veins. Just give me that. I cannot wait to the end of the year until one last thing.
I remember one. Sorry, go ahead.
Like obviously all these shows always have some type of like secret cameo. They don't always have to, but like, is there a character that fits into this? Like, are we gonna get like a Bosk or an IG-88? Like you know what I mean? Like who would there?
Season 2 of The Mandalorian, the worm fighter. Guy who had Boba Fett's armor.
Timothy Oliphant.
Oh, right. Then
I hope we see him in this.
Oh, I love him. You're right. Yes, you're right.
That's what I would bet on. But maybe there's maybe Anakin's in this.
I kind of hope that it stays pretty localized to Tatooine. So I think unless it would be like a Tatooine specific reference character. I don't really want to see it. I think the only other thing I would expect is like if hopefully they are playing with the politics, I'd like to see some of the rebellion people show up.
Yeah. It's Mace Windu.
It's Mace Windu.
Oh my God, Mace Windu was also on Tatooine. Get the F out of here.
And he's hunting Boba.
God,
that might be too far.
I have to kill the whole family.
Look, I want Mace Windu back, but not
like this. Not like this.
All right. Anyway, I wanted to say, because you brought up a tweet. You brought up a tweet that someone sent. I was looking through the Letterboxd reviews for Injustice, not Kind, by the way, but there was a community reference because the Gillian Jacobs plays Harley Quinn. She's good. And there's a bit in Community where she comes out of the Christmas pageant. She's really bad, and the dean just looks at her and goes, "Oh, Britta's in this." And so I saw a review where it's just like, "Oh, Britta's in this."
That's so funny. 1 star.
Had it with this mother effing sand on this mother effing planet.
All right. Shall we get into our main topic then?
I think we shall.
Eternalize. We're the Unimind. We are the Unimind.
I was expecting your head to make it so your head is like in the way of the Celestial, so you are the Celestial.
I'm doing my best.
All right. Pay no attention to Arishem. The first villain in Guardians of the Galaxy level in Lego Marvel too. But full spoilers for Eternals, the latest film in the MCU. You know the drill by now. If you haven't seen it, don't spoil it for yourself. Skip on over. Do whatever you want. Been warned. Full spoilers for Eternals. What do we think about this one?
Grayson, you seen it yet? Okay. He's probably gone. Anyways, can
you just imagine if he was just like, no, Ben, I haven't.
He texts me. He's like, I'm still here. I'm like, ugh. Yeah, Eternals was all right. I mean, it's not the best. It's definitely not the best. It's not the worst, but I have unlike Black Widow, where if Black Widow was on, I would watch it and I could get some entertainment out of it. Whereas if Eternals was on, I'm like, can we maybe change it to something better, something else? I don't know.
Why don't we go down? Oh,
Jesus, he's there.
Grayson is in the chat. Not yet.
Spoilers.
But Ben,
you put me in charge of the chat. Remember,
Grayson, you got to mute for like an hour.
clearly, I don't remember Ben. Anyway, he says he's still gonna see it. I'll mute for a bit. All right. Okay, Ryan.
Man, guys, I think there are a lot of really, really, really cool stuff. I think there's a lot of cool stuff in this movie, sprinkled throughout the whole movie. But overall, I find it to be kind of a dud, and it makes me sad because I think for a lot of reasons this movie is really important, and it bums me out that I find it mostly a drag. Definitely one of my least favorite MCU movies, and I hate saying it. Yeah, Celestials are cool, man. I guess, yeah.
Sparks?
Can you please go before me?
Okay. I don't think I like this one very much.
I'm being more positive, if I'm being honest.
I do have positives, but the more I kind of sit on it, the more I kind of think about it, the more I was trying to do kind of my ranking, and to be fair, my Letterboxd ranking of the MCU is just kind of a hodgepodge mess. It's just not really accurate, but I do keep Iron Man 2 at the bottom, and I kept kind of like looking at Eternals, like, okay, maybe no, I don't. And before I knew it, it was seconds from the bottom. I don't know if that's kind of where I sit on it, but I didn't come away from this one very hot.
Mm-hmm. What's up, Sparks?
I kind of liked it.
Great.
I liked it much more than most people, apparently.
Yeah. That's good.
I think it's flawed, for sure. I think it has issues, but a lot of it resonated for me, and I enjoyed it.
Good.
I enjoyed it.
Are you sure?
It's just been so hard because like I saw it on Thursday and like we'd been talking about the buzz going into it and like people, not being very hot on it, and I'm like, oh man, how much, how bad is this? And I go in and I'm like, it's long, it's got issues. I don't think it's the trash can fire people are saying. Is
I
it?
don't either.
But I come out of it and I'm like, a lot of that worked for me. Am I wrong? And I had to really think about it, and I had to listen to things, and I had to like read things, and I've been waiting for this anxiously for 4 days because I'm like, I don't know why am I different?
That's fair. I also just don't think it is as bad as people are claiming it to be on
the thing is, like, again, Rotten Tomatoes, if you give it like a fine score, if everyone gives it a fine score, then it's a failure. You know what I mean? So like, it's not always the basis, but like,
I'm not just talking about Rotten Tomatoes, but the general discourse around it has
like,
been.
The difference between this and like a really bad movie is this movie's not bad. I just find a lot of it uninteresting.
Yeah.
It's far too long. Again, it's kind of the same problem I have with the new James Bond movie. It's far too long, but it doesn't do enough with any of the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like my problem is there are far too many characters, and all the characters are good, but there's too many of them to really give any of them enough for me to care about really any of them. I think they're all good, but like it's hard for me to have a real true connection when like Guardians of the Galaxy has 5 characters, and that's a tough thing to deal with 5 characters. This is 10 characters plus side characters. Mm-hmm. I just think it was way too much real estate and not enough land to do it.
Yeah, we talked about it. I also find this one dull. Like Thor 2, I can at least have a good time watching. This one is just kind of bland and dull, and I just kind of sit there thinking to myself, like, this is shorter than Endgame. I don't believe you.
It's like No, we kept talking about how long this movie is, and is this movie just about as long as Infinity War?
Probably 2:30 is long. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's about as long as Dune, honestly.
Yeah, but like we talk about Dune and we talk or how long Dune was, but Dune, that's a long ass movie. I was engaged and I cared the whole time. Avengers Infinity War and even Endgame, which is half an hour longer than this one, I care. I was on the edge of my seat. I'm like, yes, I can't wait. But there were parts during Eternals where I was like, can we just hurry it up, please?
There are a lot of really cool things in this movie, and I see, and the thing that I'm rubbing up against is just like I think some of the choices for the story just really don't serve the story whatsoever, and I think it's especially with Eternals. I think it's a weird choice to kill certain characters the way that they do. I think I don't think it adds to the story in the way they think it does. I think the villain, especially the deviant stuff, is so wasted, and I'm so disappointed with. There's a moment in the movie where Crow evolves and he's like, "You guys are murderers and we're not the bad guys," and I'm like, "Yes, they're gonna do something here." Then he leaves for an hour and he comes back and dies.
Yeah.
And at the end when that guy shows back up and you and I both had the moment like, oh right,
we both looked at each other. I'm like, oh right, where have you been?
I heard.
And then Angelina Jolie goes into the cave, and I literally looked like, we have time for this.
I forgot until somebody brought it up online that Kingo is just absent for like most of the third act.
Oh yeah.
And it's because if you remember, he says, "Oh, I like the Celestials, but like a religious person, I don't want to like fight with my friends, so I'm going to stay out of it." But they don't make it a point that like he's not going to go and fight the end battle with him. He just disappears for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, because he shows up at the epilogue, and he's just there. It's like, man, I completely forgot. Holy crap!
And crazy enough, and I'll let Spark say something after this, but like the thing that initially that I didn't like was the final end battle with Icarus, because I'm like, it's just them fighting their friends. But then the more I thought about it, that is my favorite part of the movie, because it's like when I feel the most tense, and it's like friends actually fighting each other, and the fight sequence is actually really good. It's the most that they use their powers, and like the thing that I like most about the movie, it's none of that stuff. It's just like a cool fight scene that I saw in Justice League already. You know what I mean? Like I literally watched this fight in Justice League already, and I'm like.
I really enjoyed. I want to say a positive because I really enjoy how this movie looks. I really like the visualization of the Eternals' powers. I think is really cool and interesting. That fight scene with Icarus is really cool for me because I'm seeing all the different powers being used, and I really like how they're all visualized. Especially Brian Tyree Henry just going all out with his stuff. That was really cool.
Yeah, Makari like. The thing I love about the way that Speed is done in this movie, it's never slow-mo. She's always going 1,000 miles an hour, and like this is like one of the closest like Dragon Ball Z fights we'll have, right? Where she's like punching him into the wall at like all different angles. It's like that's some really cool shit. Like the action for the most part of this movie really works. I think the fight in the forest with the deviants when they go to Druig's compound, that's way too dark. I don't think that looks very good at all.
No, I had an issue saying because great job trying, shooting with natural lighting. I really like the look of it. There's definitely a moment where after they leave Druig's camp, it goes to a really bright light, and I'm like, oh dang.
I don't think I appreciate that this is a unique look for the MCU. I don't think it works the entire time.
No, and specifically because the way that scene is lit, the deviants are also lit naturally, but their color scheme blends in with the natural lighting, so you lose them. And I don't think it's the filmmaker's intention that you lose where the deviants are in the fight.
Yeah.
That was like the only time where I was struggling to at least see what was going on. And I desperately want to hear what Sparks has to say.
No, it's fine. I mean, like, go off, it's cool. I agree with pretty much all of the criticism, almost entirely. I just still liked all of it. Not all of it. I still liked a lot of it. I was fully prepared to like go in and like I know Ryan read this because I know Ryan, and like I was prepared for like, oh, it's not just people who like don't like diversity that aren't liking Eternals, because Gita Jackson put out a great piece over on Vice about like not liking having criticism against the movie is not the same as like hating diversity.
Movies can be diverse and bad at the same time.
Yes, exactly. It doesn't mean that like you don't have to like the movie just because it's doing a lot of great diversity things, which it is, but you don't have to like the movie just because of that. You can still be critical of it.
Yeah.
And so I did try to like bring my critical eye. And I see the flaws. I don't know. I think that like I agree. I think the visual language of the film overall is really spectacular. I liked that it doesn't feel like a MCU movie most of the time.
No,
Yeah.
I do too. Yeah.
I really like that. And I guess like more than anything, that my biggest takeaway is that I'm just glad that we're here where we're finally taking like big enough swings. I'd rather the swing be big and miss, I guess.
No,
at that
100%.
point.
That's why, like, I am mostly negative on this movie, but it is not the same negativity that I had for something for like Venom or Harry Potter, right? It is.
Right.
I just find it kind of boring, not bad. It's just uninteresting to me.
I think I'd rather come out of this with everyone feeling the way that they are about it, and it be this kind of like divisive, but it went for things the way it did, than the Eternals introduction feel about the same as Black Widow.
Yeah.
And I think that would have disappointed me more.
Yeah,
to just kind of feel like it was, there it is. The Eternals.
I am 100% like you guys. Like we are all here for big swings. I agree. I would much rather watch a big swing and a miss than not even taking a chance. It just, for me, I felt that it was just overstuffed. There's simply too much for you to connect with all of it.
100% I agree. And I think that like for me, I just really it felt so much like really what Chloe Zhao wanted was almost, and I almost wish this was the whole movie, pretty much except for the end. Just like a indie character piece analyzing their relationships.
Yeah.
And like you just can't do that. Like no matter how hard you push, like a blockbuster MCU movie is never going to be that.
Yeah.
But it feels like that's what it wanted to be. And like there's a lot of moments where I'm vibing that and I'm enjoying it and I'm liking it. And I do think that like a lot of the character relationships work. I think Gemma Chan is really good, and I think she glues the movie together pretty well. Her and Richard Madden. Who and I think all the actors are really good, and for the most part I think all of them are giving like top-notch performances, and trying to create nuance and subtext wherever they can. And I think most of the time it's working. I agree though. I agree, like it's overstuffed, like 100%. And I'll get this one, like I have criticisms, and my biggest one, the biggest problem with the movie is that there's too many Eternals. That's 100% true. And I think that the simplest thing is like there should have been one or two less, because we could always do something else with more Eternals later.
Real quick, Sparks, considering the end of the movie is them going to go find more Eternals, they could have cut this cast in half and just save them for later.
I would have, God, but I like everybody. Like, I like all the actors, so I like all the characters too.
Yeah.
But I would say that Druig and Festus's emotional arc things in relation to humanity are pretty similar, and I would have just made that one person.
Yeah.
Personally, I would have picked Festus. I think it's more important to have Brian Tyree Henry in the movie. And it really does feel like at a certain point Druig is just there because Druig is a red herring for who your bad guy is going to be.
Yeah.
And that's a bummer, because even going into it, like because of the actor Ryan's, like because it's Barry Kogan playing Druig, you are already going, oh, he's going to be the bad guy.
Fun fact,
and like
real quick, after Dune Part 2 was announced, he did a winky face to it. So he might be Fade Ralpha, which is perfect casting.
It's perfect casting. It wouldn't surprise me. And so like you are being led to believe that he's going to be a problem because of how he views what his powers are. The comics themselves, yes, exactly. Like his powers lend themselves to being, I'm a bad person. And so it feels like he's kind of there to be the red herring. And I'm like, really, what his thing is about is like not interfering with humans and watching humanity rip itself apart, and how he feels about that. And I'm like, that could have still been wrapped up in Festus's thing the same way. And like how he felt about advancements in technology getting out of hand. And you could have done both of those and eliminated Druig and eliminated that whole section to focus on other characters. And then after that, I would probably get rid of Sprite.
I would get rid of Dane Whitman.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to get rid of Dane. I don't think he hurts the film at all.
But he doesn't literally add anything at all either. I like him, but like it doesn't.
He's the girlfriend. Like, why is that I don't think that's a problem in this movie. I don't think
it's a problem. I just like if I could have got 10 minutes with other characters instead of just a bookend with him, I think I would have rather had that.
I don't totally agree because I think he is an important representation of Gemma Chan's whole thing.
Okay.
And like, because she fell in love with him, and he is a representation of her connection to humanity. And I really like what he does in grounding the film at the beginning, because I like that it doesn't feel like a general origin film. I like that I kind of feel tossed into the waters of it after we get the prologue.
Yeah.
I love that it's just, oh, weird thing happens, but we live in a world where Endgame has happened, and so Dane's just like, oh shit, what's that? And he's like asking her questions like, are you a wizard or something? And he can get with it a lot faster.
Okay,
And
I think I know what the problem is, because I like all that stuff. I think it's the end where he's like, I have a secret history I didn't tell you about. I think because that's he has such little screen time that half of it is devoted to saying, oh, I'm a setup for the MCU. That's my problem.
Anytime an MCU tease up happened, and I agree with that 100%, because I wish this film had ended with things just being cool.
Yeah.
I didn't need Arishem coming and pulling them into space or any of the setup for. I liked this feeling self-contained, and we could open that bottle again at another point in time.
Yeah.
But I liked the vibe post-credit scenes disregarding. Like, I liked the vibe of the film feeling kind of like it stood apart in a way. So I agree with you on that. But him himself as a character, and him being kind of a foundational lightning rod for her humanity representation and her care for it, worked for me.
All right, I like that. I'll buy that.
I'm glad he was there as that, and I appreciated it.
You were gonna say Sprite.
I was gonna say Sprite, and so the reason why Sprite is like, I think if you did get rid of Druig, you turned it into just his arc stuff combined with Fastus. If you took Sprite with Icarus and Circe to when they go get him, and Sprite sees him with a family, and Sprite's jealousy of that happens there, then I think Sprite's arc is more clear. But without that, Sprite is just not given enough. So there's room where either you had to add that, and you could have if you reduced the Eternal number, and then it would have worked, or you just take Sprite out. And again, like, I think the rest of the Eternals were the more important ones to focus on anyway.
Yeah, I also think Sprite. I didn't understand Sprite's arc, especially when twice in the movie they kind of throw an arc at you, like, oh, she loves Icarus. Oh, she wants to be human. And I'm like, okay, wait, what? Where did this come from?
So our book club is a bigger inspiration than I thought it was going to be. I see the stuff with Sprite from that book, and I like the idea so much. It's Brandon. It's the thing from what is it? Black Hammer. There's also the girl who can't age. Yeah, that trope. It's the Kirsten Dunst Interview the Vampire again, like, 9-year-old immortal. That is a awesome trope. Again, they don't explore it enough for me to actually care about that arc. And that is unfortunately the problem I feel with most of these characters. They all have small arcs, but like Fastus doesn't show up until like 2 hours into the movie, guys. Like it's so hard for me. He's so charismatic, and the thing, like, Kingo is it's Kumail being Kumail. It's Brian Tyree Henry being Brian Tyree. Like, those characters aren't real characters to me, but they're fun on screen, right? So I'm okay with that. They're not on screen enough for me to care about the characters that aren't there, so I don't really care. You know what I mean?
When we start killing characters, I don't really feel anything for them, because one of the things that I've noticed, that we have all noticed, we've talked about with the shows have become more like we're following the plot beats because we have to follow the plot beats, and not because the characters we're following the characters. Like, they're more plot centric, less character centric.
Yeah.
Which isn't necessarily what the MCU has been up until now. This is the first time where the movie, maybe not the first time, I can't remember too much, but this is definitely another example of, like, this movie, the plot has to happen, so we're following the plot, and the characters are kind of along for the ride. They're not supposed to be.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be following the characters, but I don't feel anything with these characters. So especially when they die, okay.
I think there's too many. There's also like too many villains, but like Arishem's not really the villain. But like the deviants like aren't really. I just don't know how I feel about this movie, y'all. There's so much happening, and like I want to like so much of it, like all the lore stuff. Like, I love that it opens with a text crawl. Super into that. Like all the cosmic stuff I love, and like, but it's just so much of the middle. It's just, I feel so unnecessary and does nothing for the characters.
On the deviants, I 100% agree about, like, I don't think the deviants should have gained sentience in the movie. Like, throwing aside what we know from like the comics or that kind of thing, like for the MCU, I'm like, you went a direction with the deviants, fine. Like, have Icarus and them, have it be the family struggle be the thing. Like, just drop the deviants as sentience. They can be there, but like, don't have them gaining sentience because you do nothing with it. Yeah. And I agree that is a problem, because I'm like, because I got kind of jazzed when it happened at first.
Same. Yeah.
Okay, so I really hate that they killed Gilgamesh. I hated it.
Me too,
bro.
That has me so mad.
They're Eternals. They don't die. That's literally their thing.
No, I like, and they can bring him back, but like,
but they're not going to.
Why you doing Don Lee like this, man?
Yeah, that out of all the deaths in this movie, that one pissed me off the most. I'm like, why kill Gilgamesh?
It really bummed me out. Like, I get it for story reasons, but like Ajax being dead the whole movie really bummed me out. I'm gonna be honest, and like maybe just because I watched so much marketing of Salma Hayek being in it, but like I expected her to be so much in this movie, and she's literally dead like 30 minutes in. I'm like, that's kind of stinky. She's like a plot device, stinky dead lady.
That's some bullshit. I want to bring up what Grayson had, said in the chat. He's asked, when I found out the large cast of Eternals, I was nervous about balancing all the characters. Do you think this would have been better, a better tie-in series so we can connect to the characters more?
So here's the thing. You can't make a TV show out of this size of scope. Like, this is a movie. This has to be a movie. Like, celestial shit. The budget is too massive. The thing is, like, they just needed to focus on one thing. This movie is like a 1 cup can full of 3 cups of tuna.
Honestly, you cut out the deviant plot line, the significant deviant plot line. You got a lot of real estate there. You can fill in with some character work.
You cut down the Eternals by 1, at least.
Yeah,
but probably just 1, and you cut the sentience deviant plotline. I think this could all have gelled a lot better.
100%. I see a good movie.
I also, because people have like made the comparisons, like, you know, and Chloe Zhao's made the direct inspiration from Zack Snyder's work.
Yeah.
I want the 4-hour cut of the movie personally. Yeah, I'm sure that's where we get everything we needed. And because I feel like Chloe Zhao wanted this to feel like real relationship analysis of these characters, and it wanted to go for that indie vibe, and I can feel the film doing it sometimes. That's kind of where I rub up against the criticism. I'm only highlighting you, Brandon, because I remember you saying it last, but you pretty much all said it, where like you're not connecting to the characters, and I'm like, I don't think not all of them are well developed enough in the movie. I'll definitely agree with that, but I'm connecting to them, like I care about them. So I don't, and that's not a criticism on you guys. That's just, I got that. I don't know.
So here's the thing. So like I understand all the characters. I understand all their motivations. I like Thena's. I like the thing that's happening with Thena. I get what's happening with Thena. Like, we just talked about Sprite. I didn't connect with Sprite very much.
Sure.
I didn't connect with Druig very much, but like I like Druig, but I didn't connect with him. But like I actually like that character a lot.
For me, I always come out of an MCU film, and by the end of the MCU film, whatever it is, I've connected with the characters. I've cried, or I've laughed, or whatever downbeat or whatever beat they ended the movie on. Like Guardians of the Galaxy is a good example. You know, by the end of the Guardians of the Galaxy, I give a shit that Groot dies.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see them show up in another film. At the end of this one, I'm like, yeah, all right, I'm good.
I'm more excited for Dane Whitman because of another character that shows up, really, more than anything.
I was more excited for that one too, to be perfectly honest.
Right.
Can someone explain to me why Icarus decides to just peace out and just launch himself into the sun? Because I didn't understand it. I didn't get it.
Because he heard the metaphor and he had to make it true.
Well, he killing himself because he tried to kill a celestial.
Shame. He killed Ajax.
Yeah, Shame.
Okay.
He did it for shame. Yeah.
Right.
Suicide.
I actually really like that part.
I'm not criticizing it.
I'm not saying you are. I'm just expressing.
I want to talk about.
Wait. Sorry, can I clarify?
Yes.
Real quick. So what I mean is, because I heard who you guys named, and I agree. Like, I didn't connect a bunch to Sprite and Druig. That's why I said, like, I think you could take Druig out of this movie. I think Sprite would be the next one. But I did connect to Circe. I did connect to Icarus. I did connect to Fastus. I did connect to Athena. I did connect to Gilgamesh. I did connect to Kingo. So, like, those guys all work for me. I'm connected to them. I care about them. I care about what happens to them. I connected to fastest. I didn't connect to McCurry, and that bummed me out. I literally turned to Megan when we get back to McCurry in the story.
Makari.
Makari, thank you. And like I was like, oh my god, I like forgot she was in this movie.
Yeah.
So
No, that,
And I really,
but
and I
actually,
really
that
liked her.
happens with Kingo. Kingo literally disappears for the third act of the movie.
I didn't forget he was there, and I listened to the Ringer verse, and they had an interview with Nyan Johnny about the film, and he said that he thought it was actually a pretty powerful message for him to have that not everybody responds the same way to the situation, and for his character to have been completely loyal to the Celestials and inspired by Icarus, which is evident by him making a movie based on Icarus trilogy, and say, I believe in the Celestials, but I absolutely refuse to fight my family. So he's just going to let whatever's going to happen. And if they decide to do it, like, they can do it, but he's not going to be a part of it. And I see the point in that, and I think that is valuable. Like, having one character who does, like, it is jarring and kind of weird, and I did miss having him in the third act, but I did think like it was cool to have characters have these different perspectives and different opinions and hold to those beliefs.
No,
And
absolutely.
I think it was better to have him hold to that than to have him like come in at the last moment for the save and he's like, I changed my mind. Bam, bam,
No,
bam,
but
bam.
I didn't want that either. But just like I just think it could have been executed better. Of just like, hey, I don't want to fight my friend, but then he's just gone for 45 minutes. Like, he's one of the main characters in the movie. We gotta like at least address it in some way, because then he is just in the epilogue. You know
I will say that I thought I was surprised that we didn't cut away like a la Spirit Bomb kind of thing to see him connect to the Unimind.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that should have happened, but I am
because he was part of the Unimind, right? He had to have been, right?
In theory, right?
Okay, I didn't see it.
Right, and so I do think that that's weird when the Unimind gets to the point where it makes everybody be part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, like, I'm kind of glad that they held to that concept.
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing I was going to say earlier was about the sentient deviance thing. I got jazzed about it because I like the moment that he started like talking and everything. I'm like, oh my god, he's Cell. And then of course it kind of amounts to nothing, and that's a bummer. I do think that they just should have nixed that plot line. I don't.
So like
that was any
not to bring in the comics, because like the deviants are like they're just like ugly Eternals. Like, if you're gonna do the deviants, I kind of wish they would have done that and do the whole thing of like, oh, we're not the real monsters, because then you'd have like a force to like, oh, like the enemy of my enemy is my friend. But then they literally just like any ounce of nuance, again, they just kill the monster like it's nothing.
If you were gonna do that, you'd have to cut like 4 Eternals that time.
No, and I get it. So
for
like,
sure, yeah. No, I'm with you. I think like that could be interesting. I just
and the thing like Crow,
I don't think that was ever like really going to be on the table for MCU stuff, because this kind of stuff happens in the MCU all the time. And so I'm like, just don't even try. Just leave them as these beasts and let it be.
After reading Neil Gaiman's Eternals and now Kieran Gillen's Eternals, like Crow is a really cool deviant character. Yeah, and he's super stylish and weird.
And that's the thing is like you could have left these ones very beast-like, but we could have opened up a deviant box again at another point in time and done something more developed. But I'm like, this just wasn't the movie to do it. Like, just leave it. You made this beast decision for most of the film. Just leave it there. You got plenty of other landscape to work with.
Yeah.
I wrote a note. We talked a bit about how really the only issue with Dane Whitman is the sequel bait at the end that kind of just doesn't make sense for that, especially in regards
to I got a secret family.
But I wrote a note, and I must have been thinking of this on a subconscious level. I say that Black Knight was wasted, and then said Dane Whitman. So I think that's kind of interesting that like even though I was thinking that like Dane Whitman doesn't work. I was always just kind of like thinking like that's really just the Black Knight shit.
Just setting it up.
Yeah, I think I felt like as the love interest of Cersei as Dane, I like him in the movie.
Yeah. I do too. It's just that one line that that irked me.
Well, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I want to talk about the Celestials.
They're great, incredible.
I much in the same way that I really like how this how this film visualizes their powers. I really like how this film visualizes the Celestials. I think they nail the scale of the Celestials when the one is coming up from the Earth, Unicron. He's coming up from the Earth, and you see him over the horizon. Just to kind of get that scale, as we see the hand in the foreground, is really cool. Aramesh, when he shows up in orbit, and you just see the ghostly face of him, very Gurren Lagann. So into that, and seeing like the birth of the universe was just a really cool visual. We've seen it in the trailers. I really like seeing it in the big screen. I really like how they visualize the Eternals.
All the visuals in this movie are bar none fantastic. I love, like you said, Brandon, the scope of these Celestials, of these behemoths, just like, because at first I'm thinking, like, when they're like the emergence, it's like, oh, it's just gonna be like something coming out of a volcano. It's like, oh no, that's like when you see the finger.
Oh, full-size Celestial is gonna burst out of our planet.
Yeah, but when you just see a little finger, I'm like, okay, that's probably like nothing. It's like, is that the back? And then it's like, oh shit. Like,
and what's cool is they don't give. They can't show you the full scale of it, so like the camera's almost kind of confusing you with it because it can't quite process the scale of it, much in the same way that we couldn't really fathom something of that scale of the Celestial scale. I think that's all really well visualized and really cool in the movie.
I just imagine what the Avengers were doing at like what Avengers are at Avengers Tower right now, and they just turn on the news. Is like, why is there a face?
Avengers Tower was sold.
Oh, Avengers Mansion.
Nope, Avengers Compound. Nope, that was destroyed. There is no anything.
They have a hotel somewhere.
Wherever the Avengers
Falcon's apartment.
Yeah.
Theoretically, and like this is something that hasn't been addressed. Like as far as we know, there are currently no Avengers.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah,
like they are Avengers, but they have no gathering place or anything like that. The closest we would have seen to something like that would have been with Falcon and Winter Soldier, and they clearly aren't doing that.
True. But yeah, I just want to see what the reaction was. Where it's like, why is there a face out of the ocean?
And ballsy that they kept it there.
Yeah. And that's for the next 10 years or whatever. Like, there's just gonna be a giant monster or whatever. I really like the new lore that they did. Like, I don't mind because, like, again, like I'm not an Eternals fan, like super fan or whatever. So like changing their origin, I think works. I think making them like synthetic people is fine or whatever. I really like the idea. They're basically Winter Soldiers. So after every time they birth a new Celestial, they get like rewritten to go do it again on another planet. I really like the idea. This is the plot of Doom Eternal, by the way, that humans are basically just used to birth new Celestials. So it's like a huge like circle of life where you kill billions of people to birth billions and billions of more people, and that's really heavy and cosmic. And like Icarus' struggle of like, yo, we're gonna stop life from happening in the universe. Like I think that is a good struggle, and that is the last act of the movie is my favorite part of the movie for me. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I think most of the actors are giving like 10 out of 10 performances with the material. Honestly, like I think Richard Madden. I think the scene where Richard Madden comes in as Icarus and Cersei says he killed Ajax, and he's crying as he confesses it to them. And he stands up for that, and like they feel betrayed as a family. And I'm like, this is the thing, is like what really worked for me as Eternals is like by the end of the movie, I do believe that they are like essentially a family that's lived all this time, and I do believe that they've had these deep connections to each other. In a way, there is a chemistry running through this group of actors that I have not felt in other MCU films. With like the Avengers and things like that. Like there is a compassion between them that I believe when I'm watching them.
There is a visual I want to point out specifically, which is Arishem's not even his full face, just two eyes are engulfing the screen, and Ajax is such a tiny speck you can barely see her. Love that.
I think Chloe Zhao's visual language throughout the film is top notch, and some of the best stuff we've seen in the MCU. Some of my favorite visual shots I've seen in the MCU are in this film. And it really does come back to like there's just this weird juxtaposition of really wanting it to be a small character focused story, but it's also about characters involved in the gigantic scope of the universe. And trying to ride both of those concepts and please everybody. And I think that's really challenging. I liked a lot of the flashback stuff. I think most of it worked. But it really pisses me off that Circe tells Dane explicitly that they've been on Earth for 7,000 years and she was with Icarus for 5,000 years, and we literally get a timestamp of when they got together, and it was 2,500 years ago. And I'm like, come on, man, like.
On and off.
Check your writing, man. No, because that's when he first admits feelings is 2,500 years before, and she's like, "Yeah, we were together for 5,000 years," and I'm like, "No, you weren't."
She's bad with math.
Who can do math?
Yeah. She knows artifacts, not.
I did like the scene with Druig at his camp. Like, I'm a big fan of like cult stuff. And like the eyes are like the whole family or the whole like cult of people with the shotguns, I think is really effective. And like there's a scene where like there's like 10 of them and they're shooting a deviant, and someone's yelling at Druig like, "Stop it!" But there's in unison. That's like haunting. It's really cool.
It's
and I'm
really
like,
cool.
Oh, there's this really, like, again, this should not have been a Disney Plus show, but the way it's structured, it's like every 30 minutes, like we meet a new character basically, and it takes so long to get to the final. To get to the whole team together. And I think that is what I'm rubbing against the most. It's like, it would take so much time to get to like the spot that I wanted it to be, that like by the time we get there, it's just, I'm kind of already checked out, unfortunately.
You know how long it took us to meet each Guardian?
It just, well, it's not the same. It's just not the same.
I think waiting 2 hours to meet like your last character is a mistake. I think. That's as good as he is, like he's barely in the movie.
I do have an issue. So we've talked a lot about the character issue that a lot of us have, but like the idea that we meet the characters so late as they're introduced with a flashback, and then they're introduced in the present day, or I think that's how the formula went. But like, it could work. But I just don't think by the time we meet the next character, I really care about the character that I just met. And because I spent so much time with them. So then there's not a lot of more room for each character. I don't know. I don't know if I'm explaining it right, but like
I
that,
get you, yeah.
I do have I honestly, I talked about it. Like, I don't really care if I see these characters again, honestly.
It would be like, honestly, the only character that I really would like to see is dead. So unless they actually do the Eternals comics and bring Gilgamesh back to life, like,
well, they could.
They could. Him being one of the only American people, and like, I could totally see him just not coming back, like for like Hollywood reasons, like.
It's a big bummer because he was awesome.
And like the stuff with him and Thena, like I do, like again,
so
I don't.
Good.
Oh, I did like that stuff. Yeah,
I don't connect with it, but I really like it because like it's not there enough for me to be like to have a really emotional connection. There's one line of "I've been guarding her for 1,000 years." I'm like, that's not enough for me. I'm sorry, it's just not enough. I want it to be. I love Sparks. You know how much I love that guy from Train to Busan.
No, I do.
Yeah, I just it all works. All the acting is good. It's just I needed more of it from everyone for it to work.
Yeah, I can't rebuttal that. Like, everyone's experience is their experience. I felt like there was a lot of, again, like I thought this was a strong cast, like putting a lot in between the lines, emotionally for the characters, and I thought that was selling it more than like an extra lines about their relationships with each other would have.
Yeah, they're doing the work. Yeah,
which isn't to say like that some certain characters couldn't have been more developed. I do think like Thena got less attention than I expected, but I didn't mind. I thought Angelina Jolie was probably pretty well cast because I think she's able to do a lot with being quiet. Yeah, I just I definitely got emotionally invested in certain characters' relationships by how they were behaving with each other. I want to really shout out, because we haven't brought him up at all. Like, I love Harish Patel as Karun, the valet for King.
The valet?
Oh, yeah, he's cool.
I love him. I love him both as comedic relief, but I also love him as a sincere, like, representation of humanity, appreciating the Eternals.
Thank you for everything you've done for humanity.
Yeah, and just like being honored to meet them and things like that. This movie vibed for me in a lot of ways because I didn't feel like it was most of the time it didn't feel like it had that same kind of cheeky common MCU humor.
Yeah.
The humor felt more built in and organic most of the time. And I preferred it not feeling so steeped in MCU, to be honest. I liked it feeling like it was a bit removed, almost like a lot of the times when I was watching it, I was looking at it as like, if this were just a movie, not an MCU movie, just a movie, like, and this were going to be the only one, and which is again why I don't like the cliffhanger ending necessarily. And it was just trying to tell me a story about these characters. Like, I think they did a lot with the mileage that they could if this was like a one and done. And I respect that, and I think it, you know, without the expectations, without the context of the broader things that we would bring to it, this wouldn't have been received the same. I think people would be digging into different things, and certainly the film would have been able to appease certain things differently. But I think that's much more the mentality I think that was brought to a lot of the characters, was to sell that as a single film story just by itself, outside of the larger context that it's forced to exist in.
I do agree. I do appreciate that this film doesn't look like it. This is, you know, it doesn't feel like an MCU movie.
Yeah, and for that alone, like it makes me kind of charmed by it. I did want to talk about this point because, like, I'm like so mixed on it, because it's the Twitter discourse around it was like misleading leading into the film, so it already set me in a weird place with it about Fastus being responsible for the atomic bomb.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that's. They made it sound like he built it, and I'm like, no, it sounds like in the film, it sounds like the context is that he helped advance humanity.
Yes.
And that led to the atomic bomb, and he regrets that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a totally different thing than what they were trying to sell it on, of like a gay black man being singularly responsible for creating the atomic bomb. Like, that's a whole other kind of concept, and that would be gross, and that's not what I felt like they did. It's so weird to use that tactfully. Like, it's so hard, especially in American media, to like be able to do any kind of, it doesn't feel like it's able to be paid the proper amount of time for what the weight of that is. This is another reason why I feel like Druig's emotional arc is so similar to Fastus's. It should have been one, because you could have made this thing really land. But I do think that they made a very smart choice to have Fastus in Hiroshima. I think the whole bit wouldn't have worked if he were somewhere else.
Just like watching on TV,
and he were somewhere else. I think it would feel too removed. I think the only way that they're able to kind of get by on kind of playing around in the sand of that is by having him there. And I think that made all the difference in the impact of that moment, for what it should be paying respect to.
Yeah, it was definitely much better seeing it. Yeah.
I really like a lot of these characters. I don't know. I've had the urge to watch it again since I saw it, so that says something. And I've been thinking about it for a few days, trying to break it down and analyze it. So I don't know. I agree. I think the third act is really strong.
See, and this is the thing. Like, I've been negative on Marvel third acts recently. So like the fact that this is a different movie where my favorite part is the final act never happens. So like in that fact alone, I am happy this movie exists despite me not really liking it. I want Marvel to take more risks like this, because this doesn't feel like an MCU movie, despite its flaws. Like, at least they tried something. Yo, there's thrusting in this movie. I thought that the sex scene was a joke. They're fucking in this movie, you guys. It's real. I'm like, you see Icarus thrust, and I'm like, holy shit, this is a kids movie. This is a Disney movie. I can't believe it.
We haven't seen a sex scene since Phase 1.
The MCU's always needed to be more horny, but I do appreciate that that felt more like intimacy more than anything.
Yes,
the way it was shot, and I really like that. It helped to sell their relationship for like what the film does going forward. I wanted to get back, like I barely touched on it, but when you brought up Ajax, like I kind of agree. Like, I'm a little bummed that Selma Hayek's not able to be more present, but I did kind of like this maternal energy that she had. For the Eternals, and I thought she got that across quickly and briskly, and it worked. I also, my hope going forward, because we're going to get more Eternal stuff, is that we could still flash back. And we could still flesh out even more from that time period about their relationships with each other, even as we are moving forward with the characters. Like, I hope that they don't completely leave that off the table. That's a lot of time being connected with
there's not 7,000 years, which I'm glad they changed. There's literally like millions of years of Eternals stuff. So like with the stuff with the post-credit scene, I would not be shocked if we get a lot more like pre-humanity, like cosmic Marvel stuff involving characters we've already seen who might be dead, maybe.
Right.
So should I have the postcards, or do you have more?
I do have a little more. I really did like I had it and then it kind of slipped.
It happens.
Oh,
Well,
I love Kingo's bit of being my great grandfather, my grandfather, my father, and me. I thought that was extremely good.
Yeah.
I really, I guess, I feel like this isn't. I don't know how to say this without sounding like I'm dissing you guys in your viewing experience, because I'm not. I think that this is just what happened to me, is that I kept like constantly grabbing onto the small things, whether it was looks between the actors or Angelina Jolie petting an iguana,
I noticed that.
or yeah, like I thought there was just enough heart amongst these. I just bought them. I bought their relationships to each other most of the time, and I thought that there was good nuggets, like Kingo saying that the whole reason he got into films was because of Sprite telling stories and things like that. I feel like there was just there was a way to weaponize like the best version of this movie, and I do think the path to it is like cutting down the deviant plot line and focusing on the family falling apart because of the fact that Icarus was going against them, and stripping down maybe one Eternal to really let you focus on the ones that are left. I think Richard Madden did a pretty good job with selling Icarus's betrayal too, because Megan caught on to it immediately when
So
they
did
got
I.
the Ajax body.
Yeah.
and I saw it too. I saw that it was there. Like, you're like, oh, he knows shit.
Yeah.
And I thought that was good. Like, I thought it was good that they leave that idea, and I thought it was a bold choice to play Icarus the way they did, and I think all the third act stuff about like just trying to slow him down, not necessarily kill him, they're just trying to slow him, worked really well. I love the visualization of everybody's abilities. I think they all look great.
I agree.
Ryan brought up the third act. I do also really enjoy this third act. It feels utterly unique from certainly recent MCU.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the end of God of War, when you have the giant titans battling up front when you're fighting Baldur downstairs. This is exactly the opposite of the Shang-Chi. I did not like the end of Shang-Chi because there was a big battle when it should have been the personal battle. This is the battle Shang, thank you. This was a small scale not human, but personal battle between friends while a giant celestial was in the background. This is exactly the type of third act shit that I want, where it feels big but it is small. This is what I'm talking about, baby.
Yeah.
I think this one is really well executed. It doesn't kind of feel like we've been there, done that. There's a lot of really cool ideas at play, and it does feel emotional because it is play on the emotion of the film to drive the action rather than just being like, well, we have an action scene here.
Fastos gets like this dude. He has like Shuri gloves for a second, and he's just making cannons and shit. Like, cool, man. It's very cool.
Should we talk about the post-credit scenes?
Hell yeah! I listened to a lot of Harry Styles today for some reason.
Harry Styles, I guess. I honestly didn't recognize him. I don't know what it looks like.
I recognize that handsome man anyway.
I was more trying to place Pip's voice, the imp, and then like he shows up like, who the heck is this guy?
I was more excited to see Pip than Eros.
I knew Patton Oswalt was in the movie because he tweeted, "Wow, I guess I'm at the premiere of this movie for some reason."
Right.
So I'm like, "Well, who is he playing his character from S.H.I.E.L.D.? What the hell?"
Yeah. I was wondering it during the movie too. Like, there was a part of me in the back of my head that was going, okay, so Patton Oswalt's showing up somewhere, right?
Is he a deviant?
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
I gotta say, considering they killed his brother, it's really fascinating they're bringing in Star Fox, Eros of Titan now.
Yes.
It's really fascinating because also that's a character that is kind of gross and rapey. In the 70s and 80s, his whole power is he controls the pleasures and emotions of people. That's his superpower. They've made it less creepy in modern era, but like he's like the Purple Man in a kind of way. The fact that they casted Harry Styles, who is one of the most handsome and charming people on the planet, really works. If they want to make a charming superhero who wins people over through his powers, then like they got the perfect guy. It's so weird. It's really weird that Star Fox is the guy that chose to be their next like Avenger guy. It's really weird.
I'm confused. Like, I know that Star Fox Eros is Thanos' brother in the comics, but
He's
like
Eternal. Mhm.
this completely changes what we knew in Infinity War.
So, yes and no. So Thanos is an Eternal with a deviant gene. So that's the direction they're probably going to go in the movie. He is an Eternal, but he's got the ugly look.
Then what was Titan?
That's the problem. like Titan. I don't know. Who knows?
Right.
Maybe
See, it's not just the Thanos connection. It's the okay. So what's Titan? How'd that happen?
My theater got loud. Did they say in the movie that Star Fox is an Eternal?
Yes.
Okay, they do.
Yeah, he says, "Hello, my fellow Eternals."
Yes.
Okay,
and they also
did not
say,
did not hear that line.
No, they go, "Oh my God, that's Thanos' brother," and he's like, "Hello, fellow Eternals."
So he says Pip introduces him as brother of Thanos, and then
Prince of Titan.
McCurry signs Thanos' brother.
Mm-hmm.
So my assumption is just that the way they'll do it is that Star Fox is an Eternal who was on Titan, and the Celestial breaking out didn't break the planet, but it did cause the ruin that Thanos was living in. And Thanos was just like an adopted brother to him, not a born brother.
Oh yes, I did see this theory.
He says Prince of Titan also.
Yeah.
That's the word that got me. I was like,
I saw this awesome theory, and it's a thing where it makes Thanos even more right, even though he's a villain, he wasn't right, but like Thanos is right. Thanos was doing what he was doing to half the population of the universe to stop the celestial process from happening. Because he destroys planets to make celestials.
That has a very Palpatine knew the Uzon Vong were coming.
Not as bad though. Because like at least Thanos is like kind of doing a good thing in a way, in a way.
So was Palpatine kind of doing a good thing in a way.
Come on.
I mean, well, this has been the whole thing. Is like everybody said, like Thanos' argument when he has the Infinity Stones is bullshit. Like you could have just doubled the resources, you could have done all this stuff. Why did he specifically do the? Well, this could theoretically be an answer. Is that he knew Celestials fed off the high population of planets, in theory.
Yeah.
That context is there, and if they went that route, I wouldn't necessarily be mad about it. As far as like Prince of Titan, Brandon, like you could definitely pull like he's not necessarily like. That doesn't necessarily mean like title of royal prince. It could be Prince of Titan in the same way that like John Carter is a Prince of Earth. You're just the guy who's really important who's still around from that planet somewhere else.
I am not knocking it. It was just the time in the movie where it was the first time in the movie I was like, oh, what?
But also like think about it like Vegeta is like the prince of the planet, but the planet's like destroyed, right? He's still the prince of the planet. Even though Titan's gone, he's still the prince of the planet. He's 1 million years old.
I just have a lot of questions, and it wasn't answered in this movie.
No. So he has a orb like Ajax, so he is calling a celestial for whatever's next, which is really cool. So we're gonna get more celestials. Pip's in a movie. Unbelievable. He's the guy you meet in Infinity Gauntlet at the beginning. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Thanos is dead. What a bummer.
Pip? No, that's not him in Gamma Flight. Who's the guy in Gamma Flight?
That's
the short
Puck.
guy.
That's Puck.
Puck.
Yeah.
You can see my confusion.
Very different, yes.
Mag says 3 Marvel roles, this guy. I'm assuming Patton Oswalt. Who's the
Yeah,
third?
he's referring to Patton Oswalt.
MODOK,
Shield,
and now this.
MODOK.
Yep.
I forgot MODOK.
Yeah.
All right. And then the final post-credit scene introduces Blade.
I'm not mad at it. Like, I'm really not. But why?
I guess this is
because
why...
he has a sword.
I guess this is why... so I read an article. I guess Chloe Zhao had cast Mahershala Ali as Blade for this, and that's why he was announced so early, even though he doesn't have a movie attached to him.
That's so bizarre because you don't even see his face.
Yeah, right.
We were walking out of before I read about it, like we were walking out of the theater, and I was like, I think that might have been Blade. And then Xander, friend of the podcast, Xander was with us, and he's like, I don't know, man. Kind of sounded like it could have been Jeffrey Wright. And I was like, good call. That would make more sense.
It would make more sense, actually, yes. But I doubt it.
No, it is Mahershala Ali.
She confirmed.
We know for sure it is him. It is Blade. I don't hate it either. I'm just like, why
Why?
For audiences that aren't going to go look it up, why
So
didn't
for
you
those
show
of
his
you,
face?
who don't know, Dane Whitman, the Black Knight, is a mythology character, not a horror character. He deals with King Arthur and Excalibur and otherworld magic.
And then also name drop the Ebony Blade before we see it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and then Blade fights vampires. They are separate universes in the Marvel universe. They are not connected whatsoever. I don't know if they've ever been in a comic together. I'm sure they have. That comics have existed for a
That
long
new
time.
Midnight Suns comic is gonna have him.
My favorite Midnight Sun, Black Knight. I'm not mad. Like, I love Mahershala Ali showing up, but like, Blade's not someone who should be in an Eternals movie. That's really weird.
Yeah. Blade has kind of, so I joke that it could be Wong. Like Wong shows up at the end because he's
God.
shown up a lot in the
Yeah.
MCU so far.
It would make more sense, actually.
Yeah, like hey, welcome to whatever I'm doing. I'm doing Avengers. Wong,
Magic Avengers.
Avengers by way of Wong.
Yeah.
But it's Blade kind of in a similar role as Wong and Nick Fury before.
The magic side of it, though.
Doing like the magic side. Like he's like, hey, I'm setting up the Midnight Suns. You ready? And then we'll see him in Moon Knight. Hey, I'm setting up the Midnight Suns. You ready?
It's you don't even get like Ghost Rider or Morbius or Werewolf by Night first. You get the Black Knight who's not even on the team.
Yeah.
There's business decisions, there's reasons for doing this. But Blade's coming sooner than we think. So that's kind of cool.
The way they visualized the blade moving towards his fingers was really cool.
That was really cool.
Yeah, the ebony blade has a curse where the longer you wield it, the more mad it makes you and it drives you crazy. So we've watched Game of Thrones. We've seen that guy go a little crazy. So like I'm excited to see him do that again. We're all black again.
Shall we rate it then?
Okay.
All right, Ben.
Probably give it like 6.
Ryan.
I feel bad because like I really do want to like this movie more, but it just didn't fully work for me. It is the lowest rated Marvel movie since maybe ever. I would give it a 6.5. Yeah, it's definitely my weakest Marvel. It's definitely oh man, it's up to Spider-Man this year now. Oh man. Oh man.
Phase 4 is a really
bumpy
road so far.
Kind of bumpy, yeah.
It's like you got Black Widow.
No, we had Shang-Chi.
I thought
bumpy, it's we get like the good and the bad.
I liked 2/3 of that movie.
Sparks.
It's definitely a 7.5, maybe even an 8.
I think I'm with Ryan. That's a 6.5 for me. Maybe as it goes on, I'll look for more favorably on it. We'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
I gelled with it. It jammed with me. I am on a smaller island than most.
And
so
honestly, Sparks, really, like, I would feel more bad if I didn't know so many people who agreed with me.
Right.
So like I would feel more bad. Like,
sure.
I
feel weird because I'm like, I don't know, man. I guess my brain broke when I thought.
No, man. You got the Kingo juice in you.
Ooh, gross. The beard. Can you get this beard keg away from me? The spit keg away from me.
Yeah. Yummy.
Shall we get into our book club?
Eternalize.
All right, Sparks, it's your book club. So
you guys are real cool.
This is his book.
He's got my print copy right there.
Sucker.
Darn you. So we did Eternals by I'm so sorry guys, I don't have it out in front of me.
I got
it. Neil Gaiman and artist please.
John Romita
Jr.,
Jr., Danny Mickey, and Matt Hollinsworth.
Thank you so much. So we did Eternals. I haven't read this before. I really enjoy it. I will say up front, I like this comic a lot. However, I will also add this caveat where I will say that when I said earlier in this review that I would have been really bummed if I went and saw Eternals and I came out feeling about Black Widow-y about it, this is exactly the plot I didn't want the movie to have. Because I think that they would have just like zipped this thing down into this like very formulaic origin one. and I think this works really well as a comic. I think if they tried to adapt this story into a film, I think it would have lost all of its nice.
The MCU,
It's nice
the MCU
subtext.
could not handle all this comic.
Exactly, and that's
Yeah.
and that's really like looking at this comic. I'm like, boy, I'm glad that the movie went in the direction it did, honestly, because like I don't want this in a movie this way. Like I don't think it would have balanced right.
See, I disagree, but like I get where you're coming from. Considering the movie that we got, like I get it, but there's elements in this book where I'm like, God, I just wish they would have done that so bad. God.
Sure, I don't have faith that this would have been adapted well.
Oh no, yeah, I agree with that because I also think the movie was still adapted poorly.
But it's a solid comic story. I think it's a pretty good introduction of the Eternals.
Ay, Emma.
Did we lose Ryan?
No.
Just in camera only.
I'm here.
Emma just being Emma.
Ben,
Here.
what did you think of it?
I enjoyed this book. One thing I found kind of funny was as I was reading it because the cover said 1 of 6, and then I'm like, but there's 7 issues here. And then it got to issue 5 and said 5 of 7. I'm like, oh, so they changed it at the end. But that's not important. The story itself, I love how a lot of the Eternals lost their memory. I really like that because normally when you do like the whole memory loss thing, it's like, oh, what was the event? And Sprite being the main villain, like the catalyst to these turn events, I actually really liked. Because in the movie, the Deviant, like we talked about during our review, the Deviant just shows up and then we're like, okay, cool, and then they disappear for a while, and then it's like, and then they come back, and then like I heard in my movie theater, Brian and Brandon going, oh yeah, that guy's here still. I like how the Celestial is just chilling in Golden Gate Park, just like waiting.
He's judging.
Yeah, he's judging. And the whole story, it's like this. I also kind of agree with Sparks that this could have, that if they were to put this book into the movie, that's definitely wouldn't have worked. But
you brought up in what you were saying, like the exact plot point I feared being in the Eternals film, which was the amnesia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I did not want 10 Captain Marvels.
Oh no, yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, screw that noise.
Yeah.
But what I loved in this book was especially Mark Curry,
Makari.
Bakari, thank you. Slowly but surely regaining their memories, and even when you see Cersei, and Cersei is trying to make itself, and when they see, and when they're talking with Coffee, and she's like, "I feel like I've known you my entire life." I'm like, "Okay, this is a little bit of a spiciness there. I like it." All in all, this is, I mean, Neil Gaiman knocks it out of the park with writing and the concepts of this, and how the deviants are just like opposite of Eternals, and like when the Celestial judges or is just sitting there judging, and even when the head Eternal Lazar or Lassen, beard guy, the dude with the giant ass beard, is talking to Tony Stark, and it's like, what would you do? It's like, we're just gonna do what we've been doing, which is preserve the Earth.
He has a really great line.
Oh, Zerus.
That guy.
Where he's like, if you saw 2 children squabbling on the playground, would you intervene?
Mm-hmm. And I can't really.
Would you choose sides? Sorry.
Yeah, I can't really say anything bad. Well, I can't say anything bad about John Romita's art because I really enjoy John Romita's art. He definitely has a style. It's like, hey, that's John Romita Jr. And he's a good artist. Like, a lot of this book is really, really good. And this is definitely, if you want some good, like, bonkers cosmic stuff outside of Guardians of the Galaxy, this is definitely one I would point to people after. It's like, you want to read a really good Eternals book, here you go.
There aren't that many Eternals books either, so it's okay.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, I liked this one. I didn't love it. I for whatever reason, the Eternals just aren't really doing it for me. Just like in general, I guess. But there's things in this book that I really do enjoy. I really like Neil Gaiman, just how Neil Gaiman writes in general. But there's things that, like, this is set during kind of around the same time as Civil War.
The Superhero Registration Act.
Tony remembers Cersei as one of the Avengers from ages ago, and he's like, "You got to register," and she's like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I
don't have superpowers." Yeah.
I think that's a really cool. I think it's just really cool having Iron Man's inclusion in this, especially like at the end when he's just like, I know he's faking it. He's just studying us. And it's like, Tony, can you get up? It's like, oh yeah, sorry.
I love how when Cersei is on the top of her building getting a tan, and she sees this cat. She's like, "If I supervisor could turn you into a dragon," she turns the cat into a dragon.
Yeah.
Kind of like, well, it looks a little bit like Lockheed, and that's flying away. And she goes, "Oh hell!"
There's one page I think Ryan showed it. It's the splash page with the
Celestial? Yeah.
with the celestial.
Oh,
And
green.
Giant Man is at the bottom, right?
Yeah, he's giant, but he's small. Yeah.
He's Giant Man, but like the Eternals in this are smaller than the ones that we saw in the movie. But
Celestials.
the Celestials, thank you, are smaller than the ones we saw in the movie. But seeing like the comparison with Giant Man, and he's just kind of like, I'm so out of my league.
One thing that I love about I love the lettering. And we don't often get to talk about lettering in comics, but the Deviants have a different type of lettering. They have a different like font for their other dialogue, because like to make it sound more monstrous. I always appreciate that kind of thing. I like this more than all of y'all, I can tell you that. I think maybe because I wasn't so hot on the movie, and then I watched this, I'm like, oh shit, like this, I'm really into this. I am not an Eternals guy, but like this and the current run are awesome. I really like all the concepts brought into here. I really, really love John Romita's art in this so much. I was not really a fan of him when I was younger, but like over the years, I've really grown to appreciate it. I love the villain stuff in this so much. I love the stuff with Sprite and the stuff with Druig. Like this, the cult stuff and like the fake Russia with Druig. I love that stuff so much. And I agree, Sparks, they would never do that in the MCU. They can never pull it off. Because it's too cool.
Well, Ryan, you mentioned the lettering, and actually that reminded me of because normally when in a lot of comic books, especially in DC books, when they're speaking different language, it's just like a big asterisk words in parentheses and it says translate from whatever.
Yeah.
I love how they put Russian-ish lettering.
I've never seen that before.
But it could still be read as English.
Yeah.
And they're speaking in different language. I really liked that. And I want to see more of that in comics, because you can tell it's a foreign language, but still it's like you're meant to understand this. You're meant to read this, because I mean they're plotting, and I really dug it. I was really glad they did, because when you mentioned lettering about the deviants, I'm like, yeah, that's cool lettering, but honestly, I liked the Russian lettering.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, I love it. Like, yeah, putting the lines in the O's. I've never seen that before in lettering before, and it immediately popped. Like, oh, they're speaking like a different language, or they're speaking with a Russian accent. Like, I love that. I love that detail.
I agree 100%. I really love that too. Yeah, I thought the deviants were really cool. I really liked the visualization of them and what they were doing. My weak point in the story is Ajax.
Yes.
And that really bummed me out because Ajax just kind of shows up and you realize like has been setting up the deviants, but like we spend so little time with Ajax. Like the only part that really fleshes out Ajax is when he goes against Zergus.
Yeah.
And then otherwise like no. And I was like, wow, that's kind of a nothing character there, ain't he? Like that was a big bummer.
Yeah, that's true.
That just like kind of threw the whole plot off a little for me in the middle.
Sure.
Otherwise, I really enjoyed a lot of the characterizations, everything. I agree with Brandon that I like the contextual background of the Civil War going on.
Oh yeah, I love his name's Craw in this one, not Crow, it's Craw. But I love the deviants look so much.
The last issues are some of my favorite stuff for sure.
Yeah,
it's kind of a similar plot to the movie with the Celestial and the Earth.
The dreaming Celestial, yeah. But they have to like stop it from waking up instead of, or whatever, or like it's like Icarus isn't bad in this one, but he also is like he recognizes.
Do you know where the story goes next?
For the Eternals,
for the Celestial.
Yes, it's funny because I made a tweet about it. So after this, the Jimmy Celestial is just hanging out in San Francisco, and in Kieran Gillen's Uncanny X-Men, a couple years later, Mr. Sinister takes it over.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
But that went
the
really well.
The X-Men live in San Francisco at this point. It went over smashingly.
I'm glad.
Imagine Celestial with Mr. Sinister's face.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's bad times all over the place.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a good like bite-sized way to get into the Eternals. I think Neil Gaiman did a really good job of modernizing it, and by modernizing I mean like just bringing them into the modern day.
There's a terrific line because there's a lot of really dense stuff with the Eternals, and a lot of it like sometimes doesn't make sense. There's a great line where like, oh, we just need to have him die and be reborn because if the machine's working, then it's fine. And he's like, what's the machine? Oh, the machine is the planet Earth. And then he's like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but let's keep going. And it's like a perfect line of like, I don't know what's really happening, but I'm having fun. Just don't worry about it. I think there's a lot of good stuff. This is I think of the Eternal stuff I read, it's pretty good. It's a good representation.
Yeah, like when because it was Hank who said like, "What's the machine? The machine's fine." He goes, "It's definitely one of those moments. It's like, look, I still don't know what's going on, but I know there's something needs to be stopped. Point me in the direction of who to punch, and I will punch it."
Yeah, I think again, like some of the John Romita Jr. art is really, really good. Like some of his facial expressions are really great, especially like early John Romita Jr. Not early, he's been working since the 80s.
Love Druig. Okay, when I say I love Druig, I love Druig's design.
I did
and
too,
how he's just like he just oozes Vlad Dracula evil dude.
Oh right. So we didn't talk about it in the movie. Cersei is like all powerful of the comics. She could do whatever the hell she wants, but in the movie she's like, I could turn one thing into one thing, and then but she does turn a monster into a tree in the movie, and she got it, and she did it in the book, and I'm like, oh, I love it.
I was thinking about when I read that, I was like, it's strange who the MCU decides to depower and who the MCU decides to up their power, because like Shang-Chi got a huge power upgrade from the comics, but the Eternals were like, well, not too bad.
So the Eternals. The thing about the Eternals is, it's not so much established in here. They make it so they kind of have more like one power. But the original, all the Eternals, they have all the powers. They're all super powerful. But they one of them, like Icarus, is the strongest with the eye vision, but he can do everything. Cersei is the strongest with transmutation, but they can do everything. And I'm so glad that they didn't do that because it is the most overpowered team on the planet. When everybody can do everything, it's not fun. So the fact that they made it like, okay, you're focused on one power makes more sense. How screwed up is it in the movie and in the comics that the Eternals made a 11-year-old or a 13-year-old Eternal, so they're a child at all times? That's so messed up. I get why you'd be mad.
Because the Celestials don't think about it. They're just like, oh, that one could connect with children.
Yeah, you don't think about the future. Yeah, I think I think I really like Sprite, and I buy their tragedy in this, and I honestly don't think I would like this book as much if I didn't watch the movie. I'm gonna be 100% honest, because like I wouldn't have read this otherwise. But like I think it's really cool. I think it gave me that density that I don't think the movie gave me, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Yeah. Ben, you wanted to say something?
I did. I love okay, so in the movie, I love Thena. I actually really liked Angelina Jolie's Thena. And in the comic, I also really liked Thena. I liked her before she knew she was Eternal, and even afterwards, because she will not leave her kid no matter what, and I really dug that. Pretty much that was it. I like when she's talking to, once again, beard guy, can't remember his name, and she's like, you have a dog. It's like, a child is not a dog. It's like, yeah, but that's still my kid. So and he's like, all right, kids can stay. I'm like, yeah, you're damn right, he can stay.
They do something that Athena has, like the Mad Weary in the movie, but in this comic, they mention it, somebody else having it, and I think that's still cool. That like they just throw like these little things of like, oh, it's celestial madness or whatever she has. I'm like, oh, that's cute.
She's being crushed under the weight of her memories.
Yes, that's cool. I like that. That was cool. Yeah,
that's a cool line.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, I got nothing else.
If you guys like Eternals, definitely read the current Kieran Gillen and Asad Ribic run. It is wild. It's X-Men, but with Eternals. It's super wild. I love it.
All right, that'll do it. So, Ben, it's your book club next week. Do you know what it is?
I most certainly do. So this is a little newer. I picked this because I felt like this might be a good chance to get some some hope in our lives. And I was thinking the first 3 issues, but I don't know if that was going to be too long because it is an anthology series. But I figure we'll start with the first issue, and if we read it throughout the week, we might change it. But it is Superman Red and Blue #1. The first issue of Red and Blue, since it is an anthology series, it's not a cohesive story.
It's not very long, but it's one issue.
Why don't we do the whole?
Yeah, that's literally book? That's like 20 pages.
Oh, it is? Okay, it looked a little. All right, because we could do issues 1 through 3 then.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's collected in a trade, that's fine. 3 issues, as even oversized, is still the same thing as a 6-issue comic.
Yep, Superman Red and Blue, issues 1 through 3.
Beautiful. I have those.
All right, so there you go. Stay tuned for that. Also, next week, we probably don't know what we're talking about, or you guys more accurately, but you'll figure it out.
Yeah, because someone is going to be partying up in Orlando. I wonder who it can be. It's this guy.
It's Ryan.
Nope.
Yeah. So that's that. And then
That's that.
Cool stuff coming. We're gonna do a Sam Raimi, Andrew Garfield discussion. Two different episodes, leading up to No Way Home. So cool stuff coming up. All right. Until then, you can check out some of the other stuff we got going on. Conversation will still show up. Season 1 is done, but you can check out all the episodes on the feed. You can find some other stuff on YouTube. If you like this video and you subscribe to this channel, you can check out some of the other stuff, such as Victor's Watch. Victor's Watch it's been going for a while. There's a lot of shows up there, a lot of episodes. Check them out. Basement Arcade, we just finished Spooktober. Check out all those episodes. A lot of fun stuff. If you haven't so far, maybe you're missing Halloween and you're like, I want to see something scary. Well, watch Ben get scared.
I'm missing.
And sometimes you and I were screaming on our first Five Nights at Freddy's playthrough.
Well, we were all screaming at you at Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yes, you were.
Basement Arcade pause menu is there as well as you can check out the new audio feed that's all completely caught up. That's every episode is now on audio format. I mean, they've always been audio format, but now on its own feed.
Yep.
You can subscribe to that. So check that out. Fake Nerd Book Club and Animation Station. And you can find all these links on our new website page of the Fake Nerd family. Check out everything we've done. Cool stuff. And links to where you can find them all. If you want to get some masks, we still have our Crafted by Z masks. Oh,
bye, Mag.
Yeah.
Good night, Mag.
You the best.
Good night, Mag.
That's linked below. Patreon and TeePublic. If you'd like to support us financially, you can check out those links below. And of course, our website, FakeNerdPodcast.com. It's linked below. You can find all those links, everything where we're at. It's all there. Thank you to everyone who listens. Thank you to everyone who watches. Thank you to everyone who watches live and the rewind. We love you guys. Thank you to Mag, who constantly stays up way too late watching us, but we love it. Thank you to Jeremy Vellucci. You can find him at Jeremy Vellucci Keyboards. He did all of our theme music that you hear throughout all the shows, and of course our intro music that you heard tonight. You can find his podcast, Suburban Proctologist, at Suburban Proctologist Official and at Subproc Podcast. Thank you to Mike Mottola. Hopefully we get some more stuff. We get some more like collaboration with Mike Mottola soon. We've talked about it a bit. Exciting things. We love that guy. You can find him on Instagram and TikTok at Mike Mottola. Subscribe to us on iTunes. Nope. Find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all the Fake Nerd Podcast. I had my brain just left me for a second. It just went peace out.
The
bye.
Unimind.
The Unimind. Find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all at Fake Nerd Podcast, fakenerdguys@gmail.com. If you'd like to get in touch with us personally, I'm at BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter. Ben?
You can find me getting through my not giant stack of comic books and also transforming my awesome new Gigawatt figure that Brandon got me for my birthday. Thank you, buddy. At Bagmatic27 on Instagram and Twitter. And also, if you like old school video games, which I hope you do because old school video games are awesome, I write for oldschoolgamermagazine.com. I don't have a new article up this week because I was just taking a break from I was enjoying Metroid Dread and I was playing Castlevania Symphony of the Night. New articles are on the way. I promise. I just need to sit down and write them because I needed a break.
Oh, we get it, man. All right. Sparks?
You can find me at SparksWitty on Instagram and Twitter, SPARKZ Witty.
Ryan?
You could find me eternally grateful that even though I might not like the movie, I like movies that are different because the MCU needs to be different. At DJ Tony Stark.
All right. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music and Podcasts, and Pandora. Rate, review wherever you get us. We greatly appreciate it. Like this video and subscribe to this channel. And until next time you see us, stay fake nerds.